Warning, this video is not intended for a younger audience. Sensitive topics will be discussed in the video. Viewer discretion is advised. I made a video about Sonic.EXE Spirits of Hell, a game that had a massive impact on the Sonic.EXE and Sonic community. It had unique gameplay, custom cutscenes, and multiple endings that reflected your choices. The game had its problems, but it's considered a classic in the community for good reason. It had a narrative that went beyond the usual story and tried to show there could be more to an EXE tale. It gained a pretty big audience, and a sequel was hinted. A game that was even more difficult than the previous. A game that had more endings, new animations, new characters, a narrative built off the game before it. A true successor to Spirits of Hell. This game is Sally.EXE Whisper of Soul. Whisper of Soul is one of the most frustrating games I have ever played, and I nearly didn't make this video for the amount of torture I put myself through. However, put your pitchforks down, as it's one of the best EXE games I've ever played, and it may even be the peak of EXE games. The amount of choices you get, the beautiful sprite work, a unique universe and narrative, new boss fights, and a lot of content and improvements. I had so much fun streaming this and getting footage, and while this video took me a very long time, I can say it will be worth it. So in this video, you are going to watch a roller coaster of emotions of the levels I liked, others that I didn't, and others that made me actively want to hurt someone. Watch as a fully grown man decays mentally as he tells you about a demon hedgehog. I'll also be explaining the story and covering each ending and outcome that happens based on what you choose to do. There will be timestamps if you are curious about a particular ending. Oh, and be warned, there will be flashing lights. All right, that out of the way, everyone grab a snack, grab a drink, and get cozy because this is going to be a long one. Let's jump into Sally.EXE Whisper of Soul. Allow me to just say, I've never had more mixed feelings on a game in my life. On one end, this game is brutal. I can see why this game is highly praised. And to be clear, the difficulty in this game is somewhat justified. After all, it's a Sonic.EXE game. The whole point is that the EXE is rigging the game against you. However, sometimes I felt like I was going insane because it went from hard to not fun. There are around 21 endings in this game. The solo endings, duo endings, one trio ending, and you have to play them all in order to access the true ending. Every single time you have to play a solo ending, you have to go back to where a decision was made, or you have to go back and play a level you've played before using the level select, which I will say, the level select was really nice for this game. It was clear on who was alive and who wasn't. On the side here, it'll show you at what point you're at and who you have left alive. They branch out into their own endings, and it's easier to navigate, so you don't have to play through the whole game each time. Thank God. Though getting each ending was tedious. If you enjoy playing the same level multiple times, then this game is for you. That's right, we're doing this Shadow the Hedgehog style. In order to unlock branches for the character or characters you're trying to get an ending for, you'll find you have to go through a similar path each time. If I have to play the Sally level one more time, I'm gonna hit her with a car. Speaking of, this is where my hate for Sally started, but we're gonna get into that. The cast in this game is no longer just 3 people. It's all the girls, and even EXELLER gets a few endings. Though we don't play as the boys right away. So when we hit play, it's Amy who's first, with the classic style of Sonic.EXE. When we first start, there's an ominous message that says for atrocities, a villain is needed. For a villain, a hero is needed. But if there is not a villain, there is no hero either, which basically sets the tone for the game. The loading screen shows Amy poking her head out, with Tails and Knuckles being all spooky. It plays classic spooky music as Amy stares at you like she's seen some stuff. We load into Night Valley, and one thing I've really come to appreciate about this game is the way it looks. The sprites, The animations and everything that's custom made is actually quite impressive. The attention to detail along with future sprites is an improvement from the last game. Amy doesn't have a spin dash, but she does have a charge up sprint. She can use her hammer to boost herself up to reach certain platforms. Get used to this because you will need it. The timing for it can sometimes feel weird. After running around, trying to get used to the controls, we get our first cutscene with Amy staring over a cliff, saying it's a long way down. So like a badass, she leaps down and we get a quick time event. Failing the quick time event obviously means that you die because of the whole spikes thing. And while there isn't too many quick time events, they will happen in this game, though this will just take away one of your lives and you will see the game over screen. A cool thing about this game is each death countdown is different, and there are a lot of them. Depending on who you are and when you die, it'll change. But Amy isn't allowed to die yet, so we nail the quick time events and land on our feet. Amy says that she's looking for cheese, and that explains why she's out in the forest. Eventually, Amy comes across a gate, and technically this is our first choice. Amy says she can smash through it, or you can go find a key and unlock the door. Depending on what you do, it'll change the outcome. Smashing the gates and continuing forward, the person who was supposed to be guarding the gate wasn't doing a good job because Amy just literally yelled beforehand. The guard walks up, pretty mad because this is some sort of forbidden forest, and he knows you broke the gate. And this is where Sonic walks up all confused, but offers to talk to the guy in private. The guy just wants some compensation, I guess, and Sonic agrees. Even though Sonic is homeless and doesn't have a job. Not sure how he plans to pay him. He comes back after definitely not killing the guy. It says he's going to explore a path ahead. If you run back, you can actually see blood on the window inside. This is how you know you fucked up, and this clearly isn't Sonic. My question is, how is he planning on paying a compensation if he's like this? Is EXELLER stupid? Moving forward, we're met with the dialogue scene. Amy is feeling nostalgic and asks Sonic if he remembers the place they met. Sonic seems so interested in the conversation. You'll be met with two options, and depending on what you choose, it will change his response. If you say it was a wonderful place, Sonic will say something odd. He says something about how Little Planet was just alright, aside from the bad futures, which is odd because Amy says that they met on Never Lake. This is the start of the bad path for Amy. If you choose to believe Sonic throughout the conversation, Amy will be fully trusting of him. If you choose to continuously doubt him, it will change the decision later on. I won't explore every dialogue option, as I feel that would take a bit too long. Upon reaching the end, you're met with one or two options depending on the dialogue you choose. There's a ring Sonic wants you to jump into with him, and the choice is to follow him blindly, or you can run away if you thought he was sus. Yes, I did write that into the script. I don't know why, just don't think about it. Following him takes you to a special stage, which looks cute. If you immediately go into the goal, EXELLER is waiting for you, and that's the end of Amy. Quite brutally, might I add. He pulls out a Dio time stop, but then he appears behind her, and then it takes out her heart, then slams it into her head. Like, that was just mad unnecessary. He then makes a comment about saying we should try again. If you don't follow him right away, he gets really angry, and the stage goes red. A place that was blocked off is now available, but good luck. There are springs everywhere, and the controls were made to work against you. It feels like it moves too fast sometimes, and given there are things that work against you everywhere, you likely aren't making it through. I don't know if it's possible to beat it, considering I didn't need this to complete the game or get a specific ending. I didn't spend too much time trying. For me, it felt like it was impossible, but if you do complete it, I believe you get a second chance to save Amy. So considering that I am trying to get the bad ending first, I'll just leave it here, and when I come back to Amy, we will figure out what happens when you choose not to trust the imposter. Our next victim is Cream. Cream is out looking for cheese too. If you recall the endings of Spirits of Hell, I believe that's what they were doing. So Cream runs into Bingo Forest, and as always, it looks amazing. And while the soundtrack isn't entirely unique, it does have some good music choices that make the game a little more enjoyable. Cream notices the lights from the bingo festival, and after that observation, we're on our way. Ready or not, quick time events. There are only 2, but if your reaction time is slow enough, or if you're not expecting it, this might be one of your lives gone. If you're not a skill issue, unlike me, you make it to the actual level. Cream's mechanic is using her ears to fly, and you can give yourself a little boost. It's actually kind of fun since I like going fast. That was at first. You're gonna have to get precise with when you use it. There's even a tech that makes it to where you will run faster, one of which you'll have to master for later levels, but we'll get to that. We have to solve this little puzzle here to progress, but it requires a code. We look around, find a glowing mushroom that gives us the code, go back and hit the lights in the wrong order the first time because you can't find out which side is 1 and which side is 4, but get it right the second time and be on our way. The next fun mini game is to catch the red lights that flash all over the screen. Luckily, it's not very hard to do this. If you fly around long enough, you'll end up doing it. The next part is where your speed will be tested. You have 3 seconds to run past a certain goal point, but there are these mushrooms you can bounce off of, placed in tricky places. And if you like this, you're gonna love the next part. You're gonna need to go fast. There are multiple things that knock you back. You have to have good reaction time. Cream is following a lightning bug or something, and you have to keep up with it. This particular part, it took me a lot of tries, and retrying it can get annoying. There are a couple of outcomes that can happen depending on what you do, but it will focus on the one most people will get first, which is not catching the firefly. This particular firefly was rare. Cream also notes that it was strange. She said she couldn't catch it, but realizes that, oh yeah, I gotta save my friend. Cream, lock in. We don't care about stupid fireflies. Your friend is missing. All right, next zone. There are 2 routes to take in this place. If it's easy to do, it's the wrong way to go. That's the motto for this game. You'll notice these little crowns sitting at the top of the screen. Cream clearly has ADHD because she wants to collect all of them. Looking for all of these things can take up to 30 minutes. It did for me anyway. Part of the fun of watching my stream was me being mad at this game. Only people who were there got to experience my rage in real time. I mean, you guys will too, given enough time in the video. Though this part isn't as bad, there's no real threat if you choose to actually look for the crowns. But on your first playthrough, most people won't even think to look for them. There are clues and hints placed about, along with other Mobians who aren't too thrilled to be here. If you find all the crowns, it unlocks a secret entrance where Cream won't die. Now keep in mind, you can't just leave after collecting all the crowns, as I'm sure other people have done, and they just wasted their time. But unfortunately for Cream, I have to explain all of the endings, so I guess we'll come back to this. Let's say you take the easy way. Sonic spawns out of nowhere, as he usually does, saying he knows where Cheese is. This definitely isn't Sonic, and the only thing Cheese will find is a grater. Sonic is excited to show off power sneakers, and if you've seen Chinlin Sonic or Sally.EXE, you know exactly what's going to happen. With a little bit of build-up, she runs into some spikes, and that's a bad path for Cream. Before moving on to Sally, we get a cutscene of the boys where we solve them after the best ending. They talk about how they're safe from EXELLER, but wouldn't you know it, EXELLER is here, and he brings demonized versions of Amy and Cream. Now, this is the part where endings are often decided based on who you have alive. Knuckles throws Tails to safety, but Amy and Cream meet him there. He tries to protect himself with one of the rings from the last game, but that only works on EXELLER duplicates, I guess. So if both Amy and Cream die, all of the boys die too, and that will only leave Sally. But keeping either Amy or Cream alive make it to where you can get the boy single or duo endings depending. Though, I'll explain how that works in a bit. For now, Amy throws a hammer at Tails, and that's that. Now it's time for Sally. Sally is looking for some sort of energy signal, but keeps getting further and further away. And it's here we are introduced to the most annoying level. It's a tutorial level, and it's nice to do once, but because you have to save the other girls before saving Sally, you have to play this tutorial level like 19 times. I don't know if that's an exaggeration, but I know that it is a lot of times, and I know that I hate it. There are 5 elements to use to Sally, and it's overwhelming at first, though I will say it is a unique concept. By pressing the X button, you switch between boost, electric, wind, fire, and rock. Yet, no bubble. Boost lets you go fast, electric makes it to where you can jump higher and shock things, which is useful for moving up electrical currents. Fire lets you shoot a fireball, and if you jump and press Z, you do a fire dash. Wind lets you float down, and rock lets you shoot a rock. You'll be spending time trying to memorize what particular thing you need for an exact moment. Sally, while having a cool concept, just wasn't that fun to play, in my opinion. Sometimes it felt satisfying to land her mechanic, but playing this level over and over again killed the momentum for me personally. The level isn't too long, thankfully, but it can still be annoying to do. Now, I will say, you can use this level select screen after reaching a certain point. The problem is, you'll end up playing this level a lot to continue a certain route. After beating the level, Sonic catches up with Sally as she's running. She mentions being the queen of Mobius and that her dad had died. Sonic doesn't care and runs ahead. It's revealed that EXELLER killed a king. Of what, we don't know yet. It also mentions Alice, who is going to be an important character. EXELLER argues that it was an accident, but this guy is not having it and attacks him. EXELLER does his Dio time stop and shoots him through the chest. You think these people would learn by now? Sally sees that this clearly isn't Sonic and runs away. You must be thinking, why doesn't EXELLER just use his time stop again? Well, he actually wants you to reach the best ending, but leaves it up to you and your skill. Sally jumps into a red ring because that means good, and we're taken to Freedom City. But something seems off. Seems the guy that was just killed wants us to go somewhere, so we start heading that way. This section can get really annoying if you don't know your stuff, because you'll hear this stupid Sally. You have to attack him with the element it gives you on screen, but timing it isn't fun. If it's electric, you'll have to jump first, so you have to cycle through, land on electric, jump, and time the attack. There's also a cooldown on some of them, so you can't really spam it unless it's a fire attack. I recommend progressing a little and waiting for him to appear, assuming you don't die through the death traps here. Sally's death screen is one I ended up using a lot to get her killed to get single endings, where EXELLER basically throws her into a saw blade. The gore in this game is like kicked up to 11, but now that everyone is gone, that means it's over, right? Well, not quite, buddy. The next cutscene ensues. EXELLER is in his EXE form and he spots someone. This is Alice, who informs EXELLER that after his death, she has to rule their city. This game is incredibly vague for a reason, but sometimes the dialogue can be confusing, so bear with me. EXELLER thinks Alice sent people after him and blames him for the death of their king, but she states she didn't. EXELLER then summons all of the souls on Mobius, saying he can hear their suffering. Alice is surprised he would get rid of all these people, but according to our bloody-eyed hedgehog, this is how he's always been. To show her, he attempts to beat her in a fight. Oh yeah, we get to play as EXELLER. It does say the name on your computer here because it's an EXE game and it's gotta break the fourth wall somehow. Alice has the Master Emerald's power, which weakens our Sonic.EXE, but he's still got some tricks up his sleeve. He's got a jump button and an energy shield that protects him from attacks. If you use it in the air, you get a projectile. Now that I've explained that, this boss fight sucks! I spent so fucking long trying to beat Alice! You do get 50 lives, but that just means this game knew how stupid this boss fight was gonna be! What do I need 50 lives for? What do I need? Who needs 50 lives? You have to be patient, time your attacks, and maximize damage the best you can. It's long, it's difficult, but it does have 2 outcomes. EXELLER winning and EXELLER losing. If EXELLER loses, Alice remarks he did it on purpose and she fades away with him. Freedom City was destroyed and only a few survive. They have a day every year to mourn those who were lost to the great tragedy. Then, who I'm assuming is EXELLER, talks to you directly and says it won't stay this way because you have to get the best ending. He thinks every game with multiple endings has deja vu, which, yeah, I mean, that makes sense. This is a phrase that will not make sense to a lot of people, but is actually explained if EXELLER wins. EXELLER encourage us to enjoy watching them suffer. It says that you will kill them in game, but not in real life, and the game closes. I honestly think it's inspired from either Deltarune or Undertale because I'm getting those vibes heavily. But what happens if you manage to beat this boss fight? EXELLER uses Talk No Jutsu with Alice. Alice says she doesn't want him to fall deep, of which EXELLER says he can't watch this over again. He's got what he wanted and he won't reset the timeline. He wants to kill her, but she says he can't. But he realizes that she's not a threat to him and neither are the highest. As if LED lights were activated in his eyes, they begin to flash red. Alice mentions something about his rage consuming him and pleads him to go back. He simply states that he's tired, and even if he thought he was free, his nature is a jail to him. When he thinks he's doing what he wants, he's really doing what he needs to. The world is full of the unknown, but according to EXELLER, he's always going to have a thirst for making others suffer. He doesn't think even the Master Emerald will help him. Alice says she took the power of the Master Emerald. It may have been able to help him, but given his state, it's not able to right now. EXELLER notices she's trying to reset the timeline. He says it's not possible, but she still holds out for hope. It's all she has left, and that is where we get the credit screen. But, dear viewer, we aren't done yet. After every ending, there is a memory fragment that shows some interaction between those people you just got an ending for. In this case, it's Alice and EXELLER. This is when Alice first finds EXELLER alive, and he seems to think she is going to kill him. To his surprise, she's not. He mentions something about doing what she promised, and she says she has another way. He is not having it and tells her to piss off. Alice tries to convince him she's not here to fight him, but he accuses her of telling them about him. She's like, "No, bitch, that was Rexer, and don't get mad, it's his job." He's like, "Okay." Alice asks him to destroy the light orb, which looks familiar because we see those throughout the playthrough. EXELLER destroys it. She asks him to do it again, and he misses. Alice says she learned his attack and avoided it the second time. EXELLER is like, yeah, that's how it works. It's here we learn EXELLER's magic abilities are illusion and time magic, which is pretty broken, by the way, but he does realize it might come with side effects, and we learn where deja vu comes from. Since they have experienced this before, everyone will get the feeling that this has happened to them, because it has. So basically, this whole thing is EXELLER and Alice resetting the timeline and you learning how to counter it. EXELLER says if he lets them live, they will be able to stop him, but he's kind of forged his own destiny. She pleads with him to let them live, but if he doesn't kill them, he will go insane. Alice then comes up with the most fucked up plan to torture them mentally. Wow, Alice, you're better off just getting rid of them? EXELLER has the rational response of, oh, that's easy, and is like, well, shit, if you want to make them suffer, I'm game. She says it's for the greater good, and that's stupid. EXELLER says he will reset the timeline, and if she resets it, he will forget this conversation. He then says Alice should go. He needs to talk to his new ally. The game crashes, and we never find out who he's talking about, unless it's you, the player. I hope you're ready for those types of explanations, because there are going to be a lot of them. And we're only 2 endings down, so I hope you guys are enjoying this video so far, because we have 19 more to cover. Though there is one secret ending where everyone is happy and clean. They used code Dunkachi on their Cheeky order, got 10% off. I'm sorry for the sudden plug, but I'm excited to announce Cheeky has a limited edition box of solo leveling. I loved solo leveling when I watched it, and these scents and designs are beautiful and exclusive for a limited time, and they actually worked with the people who made solo leveling, so you know you're getting something good. I've recently gotten into Cheeky and I've been hooked. With all of the collaborations they will have in the future, I'm honored to be partnered with them. Get your good ending by using code Dunkachi to get 10% off your Cheeky order, get a limited time box, and support the channel, and, you know, something I actually enjoy. I'll work on my transitions in the future, but for now, I will do the order of the characters you play as first. So the first batch of endings are all of Amy's. This includes her duo endings, her single endings, she has multiple technically, and more. Let's start with her solo endings because I find them pretty interesting. Let's rewind time a little and go back to when we're met with the choice to turn back or go in the ring. If we looked around a little bit before breaking through the gate, we find a key which opens it. This stops the guy from realizing you broke the gate, thus EXELLER doesn't get rid of him. Dialogue is a little different here, but after completely doubting it's Sonic and Alice warning you after the interaction, Amy is smart enough to realize Sonic has never called her pretty and walks past the ring. Unfortunately, EXELLER is there to greet her and is about to kill her before another Mobian walks up and distracts him. Amy books it, and when she comes back to the ring, it's gold now. Jumping through it, we have Amy's next level. Mr. I'm not like other EXEs says he's going to kill her, and Amy goes to throw her hammer. But because of deja vu, and she has a feeling she knows what is going to happen, she jumps on the conveniently placed log and surfs her way down. If you have bad reaction time, you are going to hate this. You'll be prompted to jump, and you gotta jump at the right time. However, there is a little bit of a delay to the jumps, and they really like to get tricky. Timing is everything for this. You will not get it on your first try, mostly because of the strict timing. Even if you did, you'd have to know the route going forward and be able to move well with Amy's mechanic. But assuming you do that and don't spend multiple attempts like I did, congrats! We kill Cream quickly because we're doing Amy's solo ending and move on to the boys cutscene. Alright, so this is where things change. Basically, Amy is alive. You get to choose which one of the boys live. Depending on who does changes the boss fight. You'll always fight Cream if Amy is alive and vice versa. Beating her allows that character to move on to a duo ending, while the others perish. But since this is the Amy solo ending, unfortunately, Tails has to go. Next, we gotta take out Sally, not before doing the stupid tutorial level for her. We finish it, Saw Blade, back to Amy. This select screen will tell you who's alive and what route you are going to take. We only have Amy, and how the hell did she end up here? Amy, I left you alone for 5 minutes. How did you end up on the outside of reality? Amy will require you to go through this weird dream sequence where you have to collect 5 orbs. After doing so, it shows Amy standing in front of an egg robot and her parents. EXELLER asks if she wants to learn a secret. She responds with, "Who the hell are you?" And according to him, he's a highest. A guardian of the universe who protects mortals from evil. We also find out he's using Sonic's body to hide from the highest. Also, you'll notice EXELLER's sprite start to spaz out here. I'll explain a little later. He says he knows who killed Amy's parents, and you get to do a choice. Do you look into the past or choose to doubt him once more? If you say yes, with Robotnik gone, Amy dies and you get the worst ending again. And you gotta do it again, sucker! If you say yes and you choose to keep Robotnik alive, Amy will go hunt him down and take him out. And we call this the crazy Amy route. You actually want to say no to EXELLER because there's no point in going in the past now. You gotta focus on what matters. After being teleported to Volcano Valley, Amy comes to the conclusion she needs to meet up with the others and go to Freedom City, starting our next Amy level. This particular level isn't too difficult. In fact, you could use iframes to get through some of the level and try to speedrun through it. Just make sure you keep track of your rings if you choose to do that. It has a bit of platforming along with a new mechanic. Jumping into fireballs allows you to boost to reach further distances. Jumps will take timing, and I can see a few people dying here. It's all a matter of learning the layout. You'll reach a point where you have to match symbols with numbers in the right order in order to progress. Despite doing it 50 times, my ADHD brain decided to forget almost all of them. Luckily, my chat was nice enough to remind me each time. There are symbols all throughout the map, and it's up to you either to write them down or memorize them. You don't need to find them all in order to progress, but guessing might take longer than actually finding the things. Oh, and there are checkpoints. A major improvement to this game was adding these, so if you die, you start at the checkpoint. Thankfully, time your hammer to hit the fun fireball, and boom, you're on your way. Casually run through some lava, and you made it. Amy notices the lack of friends nearby, but continues to Freedom City anyway. Eventually, she finds Cream and, she isn't looking so good. Amy says, "Ew, what is that thing?" In which Cream responds with, "I have to kill you now. I'm sorry for this." As if, that makes it better. As she says she's sorry, so what's the big deal? Cream explains she doesn't want Amy to suffer and says it will only hurt her for a second. I don't see Cream being very strong, so unless she has some sort of powerful weapon, I'm not sure how quickly she can actually take Amy out. Demonized Cream hits you and knocks you off a cliff, only to be saved by Alice. This part might seem familiar to some of you, but Amy goes through and finds out that all of her friends are gone. This will happen on solo runs, but she isn't here long before the whole gang gets together and tries to jump her. She runs away, and it's time to start the next level. The next level is actually short, but might trip you up due to its bottomless pits and blocks that can disappear from under you. But you've practically made it to Freedom City. I'll say this a lot, but if you don't know the layout, you're likely going to fail. EXELLER is waiting for you to show up, and Amy wants to know why she's been spared while everyone else is gone. Amy's curious as to why her friends are monsters, and EXELLER's like, "Listen here, stupid, you wouldn't get it." Amy pleads to leave her alone. He then launches her into the sky. Amy feels the power of the Master Emerald and knows what she has to do. She takes a leap of faith on a robot, and yeah, it's boss time. You're up against Execun. I don't know how to say his name, but I'm gonna either Execun or Execun. You're up against Execun, and I kid you not, this guy's name is Exapark. I can't lie, when I figured this out the first time, I died of laughter. In terms of the boss fight, it's pretty difficult because you have projectiles being sent around the screen at all times pretty much, and each boss had a different health bar. However, there is a way to properly do this, and it takes patience. Take out Exapark first by sitting in the bottom left corner and move around as needed, but focus on staying at that one spot. Then, after defeating him, you go to the top left and blast projectiles at the ghost until he dies. I didn't get this right away, and it took me quite a few tries, but once I learned there was a trick to it, I don't think it took me as long as some of the future bosses. After putting up a fight, Amy lands near the Master Emerald, her last hope. EXELLER holds her in place, stopping her from trying to harness the Master Emerald's power. But Alice comes in and holds him in place. Usually, in this world, highest are weakened by the Master Emerald, but the necklace Alice holds makes it to where she doesn't have this effect. So when EXELLER reaches for the emerald, she's able to stop him and reset the timeline. Alice does so, and we're back to square one. Not before a cutscene between Amy and Sonic occur. Memory fragment time. Sonic notices Amy stalking him, but before actually talking, he says, "I remember when you had a different haircut. Could you change that?" Like, damn, Sonic, you couldn't be like, "Oh, Amy, it's nice to see you." You went straight into the, "Before we talk, put your hair down, ugly." Amy changes her hair and says, "I thought you didn't notice me." And I guess she's just gonna take that. Sonic talks to Amy about how she's been following him since Little Planet and says that's kind of weird. She agrees, but says she likes him and can't do anything about it. Amy says she was alone for years and thought it'd be easy to make someone like her. Sonic says she's a pretty girl, and she did. Oh my god, Amy kisses Sonic and runs away? And the game crashes. I was not expecting this turn of events. Sonic seems confused as hell, and so was I. I guess these just show how the characters interact in this world. Overall, Amy's solo route, in terms of difficulty, I would say is a 7 out of 10. It had some annoying moments, but compared to some of the other levels, it's pretty easy. Before moving on to the duo endings of her, I want to go a bit more in detail about the crazy Amy ending. If you choose to remind Amy of her past when encountering EXELLER with Tails, Knuckles, Dr. Eggman, and Cream alive, Then Amy heads to Freedom City to hunt everyone down. Once the group splits up, Amy kills Knuckles and Tails successfully, and soon hunts down the remaining two. Though she does have a boss battle. If you beat her as Cream, and depending on what you choose, it'll have a different outcome. Tails can tell Cream if Amy's parents were killed on accident or on purpose. If Tails says it was on purpose, Cream's let Amy kill Eggman, and we see a cutscene with Alice and EXELLER. EXELLER is saying he found a way to push the right buttons, aka he's now a professional rage baiter. If Tails says it was an accident, then Amy gets shot by Cream, but has a moment of realization. She feels bad for Cream and apologizes before passing away, leaving Eggman and Cream to go to the Master Emerald. I think this ending is entirely optional, but I don't fully remember. I thought it was worth mentioning since it's pretty insane to see that side of Amy. In fact, you'll find out she had to take medicine before because she's traumatized. Though there's still a bit more to go as we have to explore the duo endings with Sally, Knuckles, Tails, and Cream. Oh, and as a quick side note, while doing research, I did find out that during the Amy level, you can actually complete the special stage. However, I think the outcome is the same, and this just gives you another chance to save Amy. I know I said this earlier, but I wanted to reiterate that. I'll go ahead and start with the Cream and Amy route, and what's crazy is that there are choices within the route itself that will change the outcome of where you go and what level you play. After saving Amy, we come back to when Cream is chasing the Firefly that, well, isn't a Firefly, and we know who this is already. With some precise and quick movements, you survive with Cream. Though, what you find is a couple of corpses, and she runs off to go tell everyone. EXELLER appears and wonders why she appears in the prophecy, and sends his dog, EXE bark, after her. This is the cave route, and it's a pretty straightforward chase scene. Oddly enough, EXE bark isn't here anymore, and you get chased by Execun, the ghost boy. I'd say this part can be pretty nerve-wracking, only just because you have chase music blasting in your ear and a ghost is coming right after you. I will say, this level is one of the easier ones if you know her mechanic. Reaching the end, Execun is about to kill Cream before Tails Doll comes in and saves her. For a lot of this game, Tails Doll is actually good. Depending on which route you take, Tails Doll will either help you or betray you. Here, Robotnik sent TD to get the Chaos Emerald and transport it to Aqua Lake. He also says they need to stick together as it will increase their survival chances. Now, we find out what happens when both Amy and Cream are alive. Since usually the boys are jumped by either Amy or Cream here, no one shows up and they get to live. Well, for now anyways. Knuckles remarks how this is weird because he swore they fought in the past. They come to the conclusion of needing to find Sally because if they can rally together, they might stand a chance. They move forward, Sally dies, and we are gonna see what happens when we click on their route. But then Eggman calls them girls, and Knuckles seems to take offense to this. What's wrong with being a girl, Knuckles? Speaking of, you know the deal. Amy, orbs, dead parents, chased by volcano, blah blah blah, we already know this. Amy is saved, and this just leaves Cream. Cream and Tails Doll are chilling outside, but Cream gets hungry. TD, being a robot, is confused by this as he doesn't need to eat. Tails Doll tries to hand her berries, but they're apparently disgusting. Cream says they might be able to find some ahead. Spoiler alert, they don't. The sky goes dark, Tails Doll is being possessed, and Sally is giving the order to kill anyone who tries to enter Freedom City because it's not safe. And every person who gets the Master Emerald shall give it to her instead. Seems a little extreme, you'd have to be sheep to actually believe this. Naturally, Cream is confused, Tails Doll is passed out, and EXELLER sent Execun and EXEBART after Cream. She knows she could just fly away, but she can't with Tails Doll, giving us another option. Either leave Tails Doll behind or take him with us. Well, because this is the Amy and Cream route and I want her to survive, we leave the doll behind and fly away, taking us to Volcano Valley. This level is one I remember well because of the amount of times I had to play it. It involves you running on lava, pushing buttons to open doors, random swinging balls to kill you, more lava, more buttons, but hey, they have checkpoints. The only really difficult part is at the end of the level. This stupid chase. Strict jump times, lava that moves a lot faster than it did in the Amy level, spikes, frame traps. I mean, if the lava touches you, you're pretty much screwed. But there is a glitch where you could stop the lava from chasing you entirely. I was told by someone in chat, if I went to a certain place before the lava spawned, I could stop it from spawning altogether. And so I did, and it worked. Keep in mind, I had tried multiple times before this, and I had to get this ending. I did do it once legitimately, and never again, because this was way faster. Not the most rage I've had in this game, but I still remember getting tilted and my run was killed numerous times before finding out the exploit. Cream notices that it's snowing and that it's cold. She gets moving and we're back to the boys. Oh, never mind. They died. I can see Eggman dying here. Maybe Tails. But Sally would not one-shot Knuckles with a rock. I know they needed to get rid of them somehow, but I mean, how powerful is this rock that it obliterates them completely? No buildup or anything, just a rock, death for all of them. So yeah, if Sally is gone and Cream and Amy are alive, the boys are gone too. Tails doll is back and is pissed Cream left it behind. TD is about to kill her for this, but Amy is to the rescue with a sick hammer spin. She smashes into it, sending it back. Amy is glad to see Cream is okay, and it's only wholesome for a second. Before Cream had the chance to trauma dump, Amy hurries her along because they are in the freezing cold. They have to find a way to cross the lake because the bridge broke. Amy suggests Cream fly them over there. She's confident she might be able to, and we're met with two options here. Look for another way or fly over the lake. Each choice has a different outcome. And there are choices inside of that choice that you make. We'll choose to have Cream fly over the lake first, and she does pretty good. Until a meteor comes from the sky, and you get a quick time event on a button you might not expect and fall into the water, altering your path entirely. Amy carries Cream to the surface after being in freezing water. She's passed out. Amy joining her soon after. Not only do they have to deal with a Sonic with bloody eyes, but they have to go through insane temperatures and freezing conditions. What more hell could we put them through? If you make it across and you don't mess up the 3 quick time events, Cream and Amy reach the gates of Freedom City. This son of a bitch was hucking meteors to kill you because Sally said so. Oh my God, these people are sheep. Unless he's demonized, but if he's not, dear God. Not only that, but he's so incompetent. He immediately makes them pass out with knockout gas and puts them in jail. If Sally's order was to kill them, why are you bringing them into the city? Is he stupid? The next part lets us choose who we play as, either Cream or Amy. Because we are focusing on Amy, our first route will be her, and it sucks. We wake up in prison. It's dark and there are a lot of noises. We venture out to find Cream and we find someone laying on the ground in pretty messed up condition. Amy's first thought is to benefit herself and not ask if the guy is okay, but to ask where Cream is. What's crazy is the guy can't speak, so she says to just nod his head yes or no so she can find Cream. First of all, how would you know if this guy knew? Second, have some goddamn empathy, Amy. After finding out she's in a hospital, she leaves this guy to die because fuck him, I guess. To make it worse, he gets devoured by EXELLER and this starts a stupid minigame. You have to time the button to land of the green spot on the bar. It feels like the button pressing is a little delayed. You only get 3 chances, and if you miss, that's a life gone. The timing is weird, and it moves really fast during the 3rd try. I personally found this to be annoying. If you succeed, you're treated to a fun game of hide and seek. And for some reason, if you die here, there's an audio section that goes on for way too long. I think it goes on up to a minute for some reason. I mean, I get wanting to make the player uncomfortable, but after a while, it started to sound like someone was putting their hand in something and moving it around. If you wanted free ASMR in your Sonic.EXE game, then I think this game is for you. You'll have to flip a switch and time your run in order to get around. And if you see a timer go above your head, you'll need to find light in order to make it go away. Otherwise, you gotta listen to some ASMR again. This level requires some pretty precise movement, and to give it credit, it is suspenseful. You're hoping you don't die because that means you have to start over. And when I say you have to be precise, I mean jumps have to be timed well, and you really gotta know how to use Amy's hammer effectively, otherwise you are cooked. You will get down to the wire in this level, and it genuinely makes you clench up. But once you jump on the spring and make it to the cutscene, it is so satisfying. This sums up a lot of what I go through in this game. It puts me through hell, and then, oh wait, yep, that makes sense actually. Amy meets up with Cream and they come to the conclusion that it's crazy in the city and they need to run away. Cream falls down, Amy goes to help her up because I guess now she cares, and the timeline resets. But we aren't done with this route yet, viewer. We have a memory fragment and another path to take. The memory fragment shows Cream getting bullied by an egg robot. Amy is there to help her. She jumps up, smacks a branch, and has it crash into the egg robot. My question is, if you could jump this high before, what the hell happened? I hate cutscene logic because her routes would be a lot easier if she unlocked moon gravity. Anyway, Amy asks if Cream is okay. Luckily, she's not hurt and explains that this bully was chasing her. Cream was trying to chase the robot away from home. Amy realizes that there will be more and it's turning nighttime, and Cream asks if she can protect her on the way back to her house. Amy says she's not a fighter and that she can't protect her. Cream is like, well, what do I do? And Amy responds with, I know I'm a stranger, but stay at my house. It's the only choice. I understand it's scary out there, but all the alarms would be going off in my head. Amy and Cream introduce themselves and they head over to Amy's house before it gets dark and the game closes. Before moving on, we first have to find out what happens when you look around at the lake and choose Cream's level. I will say this, you do find something, what appears to be a broken ring. If you give it to Cream, she will say she warmed up and dialogue will change slightly to say she has power. I think it protects you from a QTE or stopping the Amy solo route or the Cream solo route, but I'm not entirely sure. The Cream level is significantly better. A guard comes to check on Cream, and of course she's okay. She asks where Amy is, and the guard responds with, she has mental issues, so they leave her in prison. Yeah, guys. Leave the mentally ill girl with the hammer she gets spawned out of midair trapped in a room. Let's go ahead and just give Cream a sword next. A siren goes off, the guard leaves, and the lights go out. Creams decide to take the flashlight and venture out. This begins the Five Nights at Freddy's-esque minigame. You have a certain amount of battery to use, and you will have to point it at the ghost in order for it to go away. Funny enough, this is the second time Cream will be doing this, but I'll get to that when I talk about her route. Once you find out where to go, this level is a piece of cake. Managing your flashlight and jumping in the right direction is so much better than the hell Amy puts you through. Dialogue is the same as before, and the ending is still the same. Overall, Aim and Creamy route can be brutal, but there are worse ones. I'd give it a 7 out of 10. Alright, next up we have Amy and Sally. We take the usual Amy and Sally route. Sally just has to go through her tutorial stage through Limp City. Still lives in my head rent-free. At some point, I was able to speed through this level, but you really have to practice the layout and position yourself to be able to use your abilities against EXELLER. I don't think I could ever truly emphasize the pain this level put me through, or any level really, but I'm gonna try. Sally makes it to the end, but EXELLER appears and calls her stupid, said she may have had the chance to beat him. He has a Chaos Emerald now, which can help him control it. Not sure what that is, but we will probably find out. Or we won't. EXELLER does experience deja vu, since he had a feeling he already hunted Sally before, which this was likely Alice when she resets the timeline. Sally eventually finds Antoine, who is not actually Antoine. Turns out he's a copy and wants Sally to take off her sword. I'm not sure what that means, but the lights get shut off and he tells Sally not to move. Alright, I'm getting mad uncomfortable right now, and it only gets worse because this is a quick time event minigame and you only get 5 tries to land it. When you see a circle appear on screen, you have to quickly click on it with your mouse. Osu fans are so happy right now. Me? Fuck this minigame. It's so fast, dude. It mostly applies to if you're not expecting it, because you are expecting a button, but it's this and it sucks. Not the hardest Sally level, but it's just this level. Sally is able to find a place to hide, and the guy can't see super well because it's dark. Also, this little shit pulls up, does a little dance, and leaves. He'll be annoying later, but for now, he's adorable. We catch up to the guy who died earlier, and he has the audacity to say we're not useless after all. Bro, you got one shot by EXELLER. I don't want to hear it, dude. The guy's name is Rexer, and he explains that EXELLER took Sonic's body, but he doesn't know why. He wants to kill them. Rexer says he will teleport Sally to get help, and we're on our way. Amy level, yada yada. New content with Sally. A lot of lore is actually revealed because of Sally, funny enough. Maybe it's because she's a queen and can kind of relate to Alice. Or maybe because her name is the title of the game? Nah, that's probably not it. Sally gets taken to a library and wonders what she needs to find here. She finds a book called Citizens of the Highest. Convenient timing, might I say. It says in the book that EXELLER is actually dead. But before anything, a Highest approaches Sally. He states Sally is an intruder. Sally is grateful and explains she was sent here by one of theirs. This guy is like, why should I help you? And Sally is like, he possessed my friend. Or maybe he didn't. I don't know. And he answers with, oh, did a blue wolf tell you? Sally confirms it, and the guy is like, well, I don't care. I will never help you. You're ugly and dumb. Pretty much. Sally threatens to ask Alice, and this strikes a nerve. Sally just wants to save her friends, and he responds with, violence only breeds violence. He says EXELLER only becomes evil because of an outside influence. She questions why he would want her to sympathize with someone who's actively trying to harm her friends. Valid crash out, by the way, and he decides to help suddenly. Kinda. He says if her friends are alive, they're at Volcano Valley, and she will be teleported there. Sally says, maybe you're not so bad after all. And for people who know who this is really funny. And then his eyes go red. You could take a guess who this might be. So we're taken to a snowy part of Volcano Valley. And then we reach the stupid Sally level I played so many times. It's not the most difficult. There are some moments where you could cheese its mechanics. It just requires quite a bit of patience and to be good with platforming. If you're familiar with her mechanic, you'll be okay. Once I got familiar with the layout, I could do it a couple tries consistently. Still took a lot though. Making it out, Sally heads toward Freedom City, where Amy is. Amy is actually glad to see Sally, but Sally asks if she's the real Amy. Amy is confused, but Sally thinks he's a little suspicious, and then Amy gets suspicious. I thought this would be an interesting duo ending, and so far, they immediately doubt each other. Amy says Sonic already tried to kill her, but Sally is a little confused. But uh-oh, she says EXELLER. Amy is like, hey, how do you know his name? That's sus. I don't know why I wrote that into the script, but we're going with it. Sally explains what happened and cuts out her suspicion. When she backs down, so does Amy. I gotta say, I love the dialogue sometimes. It kind of bounces from one topic to another to get its point across and then dismisses. Now, I do think that a lot of this is a English translation, so I am not going at it for grammatical mistakes or anything like that. But the dialogue just gets a little funny sometimes. And plus, typing out this amount of dialogue would be tiring. Anyway, Amy asks what they should do. Luckily, Sally knows a secret passage to Freedom City, and that's where we are going. It's a good thing that now they're together. Oh, and Amy immediately says she's going to go ahead. Right after they just met up. But I think this would be more work if she didn't, so I understand why from a gameplay perspective. Okay, so how is the Sally level? Honestly, this first part, kind of fun. No threat here really, just gotta run around, listen to some banger music, and flip some switches, and that's pretty much it. Don't got much to say about it. Amy and Sally make it to the main tower. Sally wants to get to her people, but Amy says they should focus on the Master Emerald. Sally seems annoyed since they don't know its location. They split up again. Yeah, guys, this is working out great for you. I know they don't like each other, but sheesh, dude. We are finally back to a new Amy level. This one also isn't too bad, though that's not to say it's easy. The way this level works is, there will be strikes of lightning, and you can't be near any metal when that happens. You have to jump on platforms when lightning strikes, so you'll just have to time your jumps and approaches. There are falling platforms that can screw you over, but you get used to them over time. Like I said, this level is not easy and can take a lot of lives, but I don't think it was downright unfair to the point I was bashing my head against the wall. Making it to the end, Amy looks at a screen trying to see where the Master Emerald is. She finds it at Tower 24 and calls Sally. They decide to meet up, and the way Amy has to do that is by catching one of the planes. Another level you get to pick who to play as. Because this is an Amy duo ending, I'll start with her. Pretty straightforward hide and seek. EXELLER is looking for you, and you gotta hide behind these containers. Hit buttons while triggering alarms. It can be pretty tense, and since there's a lot of noise, it's sort of unnerving. There are times where you'll get that sudden urge to get the hell out of there, but it takes patience. You really just need the time when you run, but sometimes it can get really annoying because EXELLER is extremely fast. Stay persistent, patient, and have good timing, and Amy will find a teleporter. She uses it to go to roof 24, and Sally is already at the Master Emerald. However, EXELLER is there to meet her, but before anything can happen, Amy comes to the rescue to fend off against EXELLER. He seems shocked to see her alive and decides to make everything collapse, forcing them to fall from a very far height. Sally and Amy are now falling to their demise. Sally wants to reach for Amy, but Amy wants to make sure EXELLER can't get the Master Emerald. Sally only has enough power for either the Master Emerald or Amy, but Amy says she can save herself. I very much doubt that, but regardless, she goes after the Master Emerald. Sally successfully lands with the Master Emerald intact, but immediately walks away from it to go find Amy. Amy bravely sacrificed herself so the Master Emerald would be saved and there would be hope. Well, if it wasn't left unattended, Sally, EXELLER literally got the Master Emerald after all, so what was the point? Sally calls EXELLER a monster, and EXELLER responds with, sometimes that's what the world needs. EXELLER turns around, and Alice is already there. EXELLER asked if there would be a happy ending if they all survived. She says she doesn't know, but the prophecy can be changed. EXELLER says he could just be erased from the timeline, and Alice says it isn't a solution, but quite frankly, it is? Alice, if he was erased from the timeline, you probably wouldn't remember him, but if you did, then you can know he doesn't have to suffer anymore. I mean, I know you want to save him, but come on. Anyway, she resets the timeline once more, and we get a memory fragment. Amy is seen going into a machine that Sally is working on, and it's some sort of age machine. She wants to make herself older. Sally comes in, she hides in the machine, but when she comes out, she's 2 years older. They bicker, Sally is mad at Amy and sends her away. I know I'm skimming through this, but it's clear they always had some sort of beef. Aside from that, let's go back to what Sally's level is like. It sucks. Not in a way where it's a bad level, it's just hard. You have to walk through these little rainbow pillars and change the color of the blocks and what order they appear, then time your jumps as they appear and reappear. Amy's level is a lot easier. This also has moving platforms and precise jumps, so yeah. If you do this, just choose Amy's route and save yourself the pain. Making it leads to the events we saw. Overall, 6 out of 10 difficulty for the duo route. Some moments were harder than others, but put together, probably one of the easiest ones to get. The next ending is pretty messed up. Amy and Tails. Be ready for some heavy topics. This one takes a weird turn. Though it's oddly enough not the weirdest Tails ending, but it is depressing. We do Amy's level, send Cream to the Shadow Realm, and we're back to the cutscene where we choose who to save. Knuckles throws Tails, and this is where new content kicks in. And I've found that if Tails has a boss fight, it's not going to be easy. Tails has to fight Cream, and this is a multi-stage boss fight. Tails' mechanic is that he can drop rings, fly, and spin dash. Dropping rings does damage to the enemy, but he more so glides and doesn't have a very fast fly speed like Cream does. The boss fight involves you having to dodge lasers, time your attacks, and some moments are absolute bullshit. You will be getting hit at least once during this fight and hope that you pick up the ring, because if you don't, you're just cooked. Now, the good news is, the character select screen will have the boss fight. All you have to do is reach this point with Amy alive, so it could be much worse. This still took me a lot of tries because I felt like I needed to be frame perfect at times. It took me a lot, but I was able to do it. Tails feels sorry for Cream, but Alice is here to give sympathy. I'll go ahead and talk about the memory fragment between Cream and Tails because that plays out here. Basically, Tails just jump scares Cream by spawning out of nowhere. This is their first interaction ever, but Tails recognizes her as Vanilla's daughter. Cream says that she hides whenever there's a quest, and Tails asks why. Cream says she feels insecure and she's afraid people will laugh at her, and Tails feels like he can relate to this. He used to be scared before he met Sonic, and that it's okay to be yourself. Tails asked if he could see Cheese, because it's a smart chow. It then cuts to black. When the game shows off stuff like this, I think it's trying to build a narrative between the characters. Sometimes the interactions can be strange, but the detail to write dialogue between everyone is something I think should be admired. It tries to explore characters you don't see interacting much, at least not in this setting. It's trying to build an attachment and show the bonds formed before everything happened. To see a game like this go into that much detail is insane, and at this point in the story, you're wondering what EXELLER will do next. We can assume that Alice wants to help EXELLER, while giving everyone else a happy ending, while EXELLER has to kill everyone in order to not go insane, or something along those lines. So by resetting the timeline and building deja vu, it makes them smarter and more prone to survival. It has a canon reason for you to replay the game. Is it always fun? No, but it's interesting enough for you to want to know more. I mean, you guys won't even need to play the game after watching this video, but if you're curious, it's down in the description below. One thing I think we forget is that it's completely free to play, and for that, I am very grateful. Okay, alright, let's get rid of Sally. After doing that, we do Amy's special stage, ignore the dead parents, Tails level. Tails is mourning the loss of his allies after what happened, pretty much giving up on hope. Unfortunately for Tails, he can't die yet, as Exobark and Exokun are here. They're planning on eating the baby EXELLER, but the real deal shows up and stops them. This little guy is diabolical, but seeing him next to EXELLER here is kind of cute. These guys want to say that they want to game in the survivors, but EXELLER says that will ruin his plans. Once they go away, EXELLER notices Tails hiding behind a bush, and he forces him to come out physically. Tails kills a copy of EXELLER that spawns out of nowhere, and he's informed that the giant version we killed in the last game was just a copy. And, in case you're wondering, almost everything is a copy of EXELLER. You could be a copy of EXELLER even. EXELLER taunts Tails, but Tails asks if he's immortal. Then the funniest thing happens. I don't know why, but Tails getting bitch slapped like that with the sound effect made me laugh, and then he does it again. Trying to mess with Tails' sanity. He then disappears, and Tails needs to go through Volcano Valley to go to the city. Tails' level is pretty straightforward. You'll have to use your rings to open doors or solve puzzles. Sometimes you'll just be spamming the ring button until something happens in a specific spot. The only difficult part, I'd say, is when it starts raining and you have to time when to fly because these little lightning rods and some obstacles that get in your way. Also, if you get hit, you're dead at certain points, but if you manage your flight, you'll be alright. There's also a lava chase section, but instead of forward, you go up to avoid it. It's really slow, and it's the easiest one in the game in my opinion, so after completing that, congratulations, you did it. Now Tails ventures forward, meeting with Amy. Amy is being confronted by Cream, but this time, Tails is here to save Amy. Tails says to follow him and is glad to see someone alive. Tails notices that Amy looks older and this is because of Sally's machine, which the detail here is interesting. Keep in mind, Amy's mentality hasn't changed, only her body has. Amy asks who EXELLER is and Tails is a little surprised she knows who that is. Then asks if she heard anything about timelines. He then mentions deja vu, which Amy experienced looking for Cheese. Tails says he actually remembers his deaths in different timelines that happened yesterday, but not really for today. They make it to the lake, and as per usual, it's freezing, and I think you might guess what idea Tails comes up with. Though for some reason, Tails is able to speed past it, so no quick time events. We meet Rotor at the gate. He's being stupid, but instead of being captured, Tails convinces him that Sally is an imposter and that they aren't. How? Tails cuts open his hand and bleeds, and Rotor is like, yeah, why would a clone do that? And lets them in. Once they're in, Bunny and Sally are already there. Bunny asks if they need medical help. Amy doesn't, but Tails does. They actually split up here, leaving Amy and Sally alone. Sally mentions Amy's mental health not being that good, but our beloved pink hedgehog tells her to shut up and goes to check on Tails. Sally laughs maniacally and calls her a stupid piece of meat. Now for the messed up part. Amy comes to greet Tails in bed, who's just kind of chilling. Amy remains optimistic and says that maybe they could find Knuckles and Robotnik to get to the Master Emerald. Tails tells her that they died to Cream. Obviously, Amy is distraught, saying Cream was a nice girl. Tails mostly blames himself. He then goes on to explain about deja vu. If they had deja vu on that day, then maybe they could put up a fight, which you can kind of assume where this might be going. Tails suggests, how do I say this in terms of YouTube guidelines? Making them go to sleep forever? He says it'll all be a dream and that they have a chance to go make everything back to normal. Amy is surprised by this and Tails apologizes, saying he lost his mind. He says he lost hope. Without the others, they can't make it. But suddenly, Amy agrees. If they can save their friends in another timeline, then it will be worth it. They take a lot of pills at the same time, and Tails says that it's going to be painless. They say goodbye and go to sleep. Yeah, this ending is really messed up. Even in Amy Solo, she tries to fight and get the Master Emerald, but here they agree it's just better to reset. It's still a scary thought, knowing you won't be the same person, or if that version will even be you. This whole game is honestly just depressing. But we get our cute memory fragment. Tails is putting up Amy's hair. He mentions something about a robot, and Amy says she wants to be able to protect herself and not have to count on anyone else. Tails completely understands this, and apparently he taught Cream how to spin dash. Tails also says he could teach her these things, and that for hedgehogs it's pretty natural. But Amy wants to do it herself, though Tails did teach Cream and Cheese how to defend themselves if needed. Cream and Cheese are actually sleeping peacefully off to the side, and I like how in these cutscenes it's much brighter compared to how it is now. Tails says he has to go now and that she should wash her hair before going to sleep. Amy says goodbye and stays with Cream for a while longer. Tails leaves and it fades to white. Tails and Amy is one of the easiest endings to get in the game and one of the quickest. Easily a 5 out of 10 on difficulty. It still had some pretty harsh moments, but compared to the future runs, this was a breeze. Definitely pretty messed up though. Alright, on to Knuckles and Amy. We jump straight into where Cream is gone and we choose Knuckles to survive. Like Tails' fight, we have to defeat Cream in order to move on. Knuckles goes in, but is quickly sent flying. It's clear Knuckles doesn't want to fight Cream, but is willing to do so if it comes down to it. And I just said we have to fight Cream, so here we are. Knuckles' only way of attacking is his collide ability, his jump, and his spin dash. You have to use a bit of all of those in this fight. In the beginning, it won't be too bad. Cream will move back and forth, and when she stops, you have to attack her. Though every time you do, you take damage and have to collect your ring. The second phase has her spawn above you and shoot lasers, and it's up to you to get the timing right. Another attack involves her standing still, and you have to glide into her. Sometimes you could get a double hit off. Each time you fight Cream with different characters, her last phase will be the same with a slight attack timing adjustment. It's also just as annoying. Oh, what? You thought I was gonna be chill about this? No! This boss fight takes so much precision! Luckily, you don't have much to lose, and it's easy to come back to this point. It's not the hardest boss, but it got under my skin. After the fight, Knuckles is pretty distraught about having to beat up Cream, but to no one's surprise, Alice floats to Knuckles and says she doesn't deserve this. Alice then says to Knuckles he needs to survive, and we get a memory fragment. Cream is sitting up on a tree and Knuckles is under it trying to sleep. Leaves are falling down and it makes Knuckles a little angry. Knuckles tells her to go away, but Cream gets sassy and says maybe he can find somewhere else. He goes to punch the tree, but Cheese comes up from behind and attacks him. He laughs it off, complimenting her. I'm not sure what his plan was here, but he then generalizes rabbits by saying he thought they were all cowards. Cream gets mad at this, saying her father was a warrior in Sally's forces. Knuckles gives up but warns her about her attitude, saying other people might not be as nice, and it cuts to black. I think this game has some weird approaches to the characters, but ultimately I can see why. There are a lot of interactions, and these characters have to know each other in some way. With all of the memory fragments, you know that each of these characters knew each other, and them having to fight makes it harder. I don't have much time to process this, however, since I have to do the Sally tutorial level for the 50 millionth time. Sally meets Saw, Amy does her thing, Knuckles goes to check on the Master Emerald, but it's gone. Knuckles focuses and finds it near Aqua Lake, and that is exactly where he's headed. Amy gets pushed off a cliff, but is found by Knuckles. They discuss how awful it is that their friends are gone. Amy questions how they will make it out when there's only 2 of them. Knuckles has the idea to go look for survivors, but when they go to the gate, Rotor isn't looking too good this time around. EXELLER comes down with everyone else who is demonized. Amy tries to explain that since EXELLER let her go, that means he can't be that bad. Knuckles, being smart, reminds her all of their friends are gone because of this guy. EXELLER says Knuckles shouldn't judge since he doesn't know the facts and wants to teach him a lesson. Knuckles and Amy land in Hydropolis, and the first thing Knuckles does is question Amy and accuses her of wanting to befriend EXELLER. She says she was just trying to be soft on him so he would let them go. Knuckles, being sensible, says he only toys with them and wants to make them think he's good. Amy suggests to just drop the topic. They notice Hydropolis and they have to get out. We're pretty far into the game and it introduces a new mechanic. You guys remember character swap from the first game? Well, it's back. You'll switch between Knuckles and Amy. You use Amy to break blocks with cracks in them, and you need Knuckles to glide and climb things. It's pretty easy to tell when you need to switch, but this level will demand precision once again. I hope you got used to using Amy's hammer mechanic because some jumps are just not possible without it. You're also underwater, so you need to move quickly in order to not drown. Problem is, the level is punishing. There's a part for Knuckles where you have to climb a wall, but there are spikes that shoot out. You're sent falling, and now your timer for air just got shorter. And there will be at least one time where you get near a bubble and your timer is counting down above you because of the structure of this level. I gotta admit, this was pretty tense. I didn't want to lose my progress, so when this was counting down, I was freaking out. Assuming you're good with Amy's hammer, and you get a little lucky with Knuckles climbing, you bounce on one last spring and you make it out of this godforsaken level. When landing, Knuckles has no idea where they are. Things get weird here and take a turn I was not expecting. An EXE-ified metal Sonic appears and Amy's trauma activates, causing her to run away. Knuckles does make a remark on how it just looks normal, but Amy doesn't seem to think so. Now, you might be wondering why it looks like this, but you will find out later. Knuckles is forced to fight this thing alone, and as Amy catches her breath and realizes what she's done, it's too late. Metal Sonic comes back with Knuckles' head. Amy running in fear once more. She doesn't have any pills she would normally take, and she's completely snapped. Out of fear, she jumps off. Instead of ending, we're taken to this weird stage. It's golden, and all of her friends are here. Amy is flashing between her demonized form and her normal form, jumping through orbs and talking to people. Tails says something about the smell of death. Knuckles asks if she will be revived soon, and Amy is confused by this because she says that she's alive already. Sally even says that after death, she realized she wasn't nice to her. And at the end of the stage, she finds herself. When she comes to, EXELLER is there waiting for her. This, what we just saw, is what happens during the demonization process. Amy is confused on how she was revived, and EXELLER explains to her it was soul magic. He's now in control of her, but EXELLER mentions how it won't be long now, and the timeline resets. Memory fragment time! We find Amy on her bed, pretty scared and shaken up. Cream shows up with her pills to help her, and I think translation got lost because Cream brings up how Amy has illness face. Now, I'm not sure what illness face is, but I sure as hell do not want it. Like, damn, Cream, you basically said, "Wow, Amy, you look ugly." Amy says she's fine, but Cream points out she has blood on her hands. She says it's just a scratch and that she needs to take her pills. Cream was a little sneaky and decided to read the bottle and ask if Amy is okay, of which Amy says that she would rather not talk about it. Cream understands and says she better go before it gets dark. Amy asks if she's still scared of the dark, and she says as long as she has cheese, she will be okay. After Cream leaves, Amy says she needs to get over it, and that's the Knuckles and Amy ending. Oddly enough, the memory fragment here isn't about Knuckles and Amy, but instead focuses on Amy's mental health. This ending was unique, and this route is interesting because it tries something different. Difficult, but overall, I've had much worse. And that's all the routes Amy takes. Because of the way I did this, you already have an idea as to what each character starts with, and now we just have to go through other character endings without Amy, and the next to fall in line is, oh, it's you. I only have this reaction because Cream's levels are either really difficult or really easy for some reason. There's also a lot of choices for each route, and it's usually really long. So let's just start with her solo ending, and it's the most annoying one to get. As a refresher, you either have to chase and catch the Firefly or you don't as Cream. We talked about what happens when you catch it, so let's talk about the level where we have to go find the crowns. I have very poor memory, so every time I had to do this, I forgot where they were. In my defense, I was trying to yap and talk to my chat, so I blame you guys. After running around about 30 minutes finding crowns, but luckily they play Persona music and I actually really love that, we have to find a secret entrance and use them in order to progress. Remember, if you don't have these or take this way, you will not survive with Cream. The good news is we find cheese. The bad news? Cheese was shredded. Shredded cheese, if you will. I'm sorry, that was a bad joke. Cream breaks down crying because her friend became Swiss cheese. With one final goodbye, because all it took was one magical orb to fly down and say go, and she runs toward Freedom City. However, Sonic is there to greet her, and she jumps into his arms. We know this isn't Sonic here, and EXELLER says the culprit may be still around. But I don't know, guys. I think maybe he got away. Oddly enough, nothing happens here. Cream is able to run away, and we end up going to her house. Vanilla is there to greet her, but the dialogue interaction is odd. Cream says she doesn't want to tell what happened because she's shaken up, and Vanilla responds with, "I know the rat is dead." And once again, we could assume this isn't Vanilla. Also because she looks like this and doesn't like the light. And that's the mechanic for this level. Cream has a flashlight. You have to point it in the direction of where Vanilla is. It's actually super short and really easy because if you know where to go, you could pretty much leave the flashlight on the whole time. So this is the only level to have a 3D jump scare. I wasn't expecting it at all, but thought it was pretty cool. Grab a couple of items and book it towards the door and you're free. Vanilla chases you, but Cream hits her with the "You're not my mom," and suddenly Tails doll is here to rescue you. EXE-kun is revealed and is scared away. Tails doll holds on to some sort of emotional intelligence in this game, and depending on your choices, it can either help you or try to kill you. For now, it thinks they should stick together in order to survive, and they need to head to Freedom City. We can skip forward until we get the choice to either leave Tails doll or take him with us. I'll come back to what happens when we take him. For now, we're off to Volcano Valley. Well, I already talked a bit about this stage for the Amy duo ending, so we'll just skip ahead. Cream is confronted by Tails doll and is mad at her for leaving it behind. Tails doll is about to land the final blow, but is hit by something. It's demonized Amy, and I guess she wanted to be the one to deal the final blow with her hammer to Cream, and Cream felt the need to run away from her, but not Tails doll, though Alice is seen with her. We're taken to a place where we talk to everyone Cream knew, all of those who have passed. There's no one left. Cream wakes up by spikes, but before she has time to think, the others show up to hunt her down. It's here one of the most annoying levels start. Ugh! You have to move so fast, but also know when to slow down. If you mess up once, Tails is going to catch up to you and aggressively fly on top of you, and that's it. You'll have to know how to perfectly time Cream's speed ability, pressing it right before you touch the ground in order for you to break away. If that's not bad enough, when you get past all of that, you have to position yourself right in order for them to run into a specific spot. Each mechanic changes, but the timing can be so tricky and ruthless. I lost so many times to this level. I know it doesn't look too hard because I attempted so many times I got good at it, but when you play this for yourself and you're not expecting it, it's such a weird learning curve. Somehow, I managed to do it after like 6 years of attempts. EXELLER is waiting for us. He's surprised we made it this far, and quite frankly, so am I. BS level aside, Cream, of all people, just dodged the entire Sonic cast by herself. Not just Tails, not just Knuckles, but Sally too. Like, damn, I didn't recognize your game, Cream. Though EXELLER won't take her out himself. Instead, he invites Vanilla to do it for him, because there wasn't enough trauma already. Vanilla shoots a Hadouken and sends Cream flying, but there's still hope. Vanilla seems to have some semblance of control to speak. It says she can't resist it. Literally 2 seconds later, Cream asks if she wants to talk before ending her. Now, going off of what she just said, she should not have the ability to do this, and she says, of course. The fuck you mean? Vanilla, you just said you couldn't resist, but you can have a conversation? Cream talks a bit about her dad and what happened to him. She asked how he died protecting her, but she says he's still alive. Vanilla says that EXELLER lied in order to turn her against her mom. This interaction is so weird, dude. If you didn't notice, the block above her was slowly moving and Cream was stalling for time. The block falls and crushes her. It's actually kind of sad here though, as Vanilla begs Cream not to leave her, and how she can't survive without her. It seems like her motherly instincts are still intact, and that's her curse. She's left to die, and Cream is able to run away. This is the most tragic route because you have to remember, it's Cream we're talking about. She had to endure leaving her mother behind, her friends all gone, her closest friend is gone. Like, damn, what hasn't she gone through? She's left with a choice. It's up to her now. She can either help everyone or run away. I'll show you guys what happens when you choose to help your friends first. We go to a place called Spectrum Danger, and there's not really a clear way to go. I mean, there are springs placed around that might help you, but I guess you just gotta follow your intuition. Once you find the way to go, which involves you just flying in one direction, we find the Master Emerald. Cream is excited, but EXELLER is here because of course he is. As you would expect, Alice shows up to save Cream. Okay. So, we know that the highest in this universe are affected by the Master Emerald in some way. At least for Alice and EXELLER. Alice isn't affected because she has some sort of necklace allowing her to stop EXELLER and reset the timeline once again. This will usually be the result for a lot of endings, but not all of them as you've seen. Timeline is reset, and now we have a memory fragment. Tails is teaching Cream how to fly, but she's having a bit of trouble. Tails says, well, that's okay. But he's got to go help Sonic with something and dips. This is where things get pretty sad. Vanilla says that Cream is growing up, getting stronger, smarter, faster, and that she's been able to do this because others are able to protect her. But there might be a time when others need her help, and that she should never abandon them. Vanilla fears that one day she won't be able to protect her, and she's worried. They have a wholesome moment where they hug, and Cream decides to try to do another flight boost. Then the game crashes as per usual. This is incredibly sad because she literally had a moment where she watched her mom get crushed and demonized, watched as all of her friends were turned against her, and EXELLER was just messing with her. It's a good thing all of her memories are erased because I'm not sure how you recover from that. Actually, we get an answer. She doesn't. If you decide to take Tails doll with you, you have to play hide and seek with Exabark and Exakun, and if you get found, you have to start from the beginning. I get what they were going for, and it is tense, but after a while, it's just not fun to do. Sometimes I felt like I shouldn't have been spotted, and other times I felt like I should have. I get a little bit of whiplash because Cream's other segments are fast-paced, while this one is a lot slower. Exakun is mad that he lost her, but Tails doll is surprised he was saved. In a weird turn of events, he actually hugs her. He says he learned some things about emotions. This helps Cream a little, but she's worried about her friends and hopes they're alive. Tails doll is saying they should move forward. Well, he stops behind a control console and he separates them because he feels there is something wrong with him. So he eliminates himself to ensure Cream isn't hurt. Literally 2 seconds after this, Amy is here to hit Cream with the hammer. Like, damn, do the demonized versions of them just wait for bad things to happen and then appear at like the absolute worst time? I mean, I guess it would kind of make sense. Also, weird thing, but from this angle, it looks like Cream is wearing blue sunglasses and it's not tears. Cream is able to run away, and the route continues from there. But there was another choice to make. If Cream abandons her friends and chooses not to help, everyone appears as a ghost looking for her. The lesson of her mother rings in her head as she reaches spikes at the end of the level, and she's unable to forgive herself. And that's the ending. Cream has the most tragic solo ending in the game, and some of the saddest endings in general, like all of her routes. You guys will just have to see. For next up, we have Sally and Cream duo ending. And guess what? We have to do Sally's stupid levels again. This time, though, we actually have to complete them. We already know most of the route from both Sally and Cream, so let's just skip to when they meet up. Sally hucks a rock at Tails doll before he's about to off Cream. This scares him away. Sally asks why Cream is out here, and she has the funniest response. I think someone, wants to kill me, but I might be wrong. Wow, Cream! I understand the situation, but after the Tails doll incident, you're not sure? What about this was unclear to you, Cream? Sally says they have to move, so they do. We go to the secret passage we find in the Amy and Sally ending, and the same thing happens. Cream says she doesn't want to slow Sally, so she goes ahead. Let me repeat that. Cream wants to move forward as to not slow Sally down. Cream, you outran the whole Sonic cast. What? We play Sally's level, escape, and get back to the main tower. Sally needs to reach her people, and Cream tags along. Bunny is still alive and reunites with the Queen. It appears the train is broken, so they can't evacuate everyone out of the city. Sally says she can fix it, but it's gonna take some time. As she's doing this, she tells Cream to hop aboard and wait. Things can't be that simple, as Tails.EXE and Amy.EXE are on the train as the lights go out. They basically talk about how Robotnik and Knuckles are going to hunt down the other half of the population while they take everyone out here. Though we know that the train is fixed now, they lock the door, leaving Cream to try and find an escape. Cream has to, once again, go all stealth mode. As you venture through the train, those who are boarded are, not doing great. I guess not all of Cream's parts are speed-based, and this is similar to before, though this segment is a little longer and harder. There are longer stretches you have to run, and seemingly less time to do it. When we make it, Tails and Amy come to the conclusion no survivors were around, and she had a feeling someone else was here. I'm convinced Dan absolutely hated Cream, because Amy calls Sally over, who's dead, leaving Cream to be the only one alive again. Sally confirms that Cream is here, but as they mention this, Cream is trying to run away. Amy catches onto this and holds her against a speed boost, but Cream, being the somehow badass she is, grabs it and makes Amy use it. As she's flying up, she's stopped by Sally, who she tries to convince not to do this. You get an option to convince her actually, either saying friends or family. If you say friends, Cream is set on fire. If you say family, something interesting happens. Sally defends Cream against Amy, allowing her to run away. This is the first time we've seen someone able to resist demonization, which is interesting, but it makes sense why Sally is able to do it. The next level is Storm Tower. It's like the other open-end levels we had, but a little trickier and somehow harder to navigate. Though I do like the Zelda remix that plays. The same thing as Cream's solo ending happens, she reaches the Master Emerald and Alice resets the timeline. There isn't too much to this duo ending, but at least we get a new memory fragment. Sally approaches Cream because she found a sapphire that contains a lot of energy. Cream is hesitant at first, but after talking to Cheese, hands it over. Sally also says something that will foreshadow the future, saying, "If your family needs help, you can call me." Hence why when we select family, it kind of triggers a memory for her. I do see the attempt here that the game makes, and I can really appreciate the effort that went into tying the story together. I don't think it always works, but it's doing more work than a lot of stuff I've seen. Alright, next up is the Cream and Knuckles duo ending. The Knuckles and Cream takes a bit of a different direction for its ending, sort of pivoting away from the normal story. Since we talked about the Knuckles Cream fight, I'll have to talk about the Amy Knuckles fight. Is it difficult? Yes. I won't repeat myself and talk about how you have to take damage in order to deal it, or how perfectly you have to time your attacks or know the boss fight through trial and error, because I said that a lot in this video. Just know it took me some time to do, but afterwards we encounter Alice like before and she helps us. We also get a new memory fragment as per usual between Knuckles and Amy. We see Amy approach Knuckles as he's guarding the Master Emerald. Amy says Sonic's name and Knuckles isn't interested. Amy, being the person she is, sits down until he's ready to talk. Knuckles entertains her because she's not going away, and she's apparently here because Sonic wants to transfer the Master Emerald to Hidden Palace. Knuckles says he'll think about it, and after she leaves, he's stunned by the idea of a woman trying to convince him of something. This is a joke, but the way it's phrased here is just really funny. Alright, we play Cream's level, skip to when Cream wakes up beside Spike's. Cream is considering giving up, but Knuckles appears right on time. Knuckles decides to take Cream with him so she can have a higher chance of survival, and prepare for her not to survive because this next level has you playing as Knuckles and Cream just randomly falls into pits as you're climbing. So maybe you're better off on your own there, Cream. The stupid spike wall switching from one side to another is really tricky. That is, until you realize you could use Cream to fly up it instead of choosing the hard way, which is climbing with Knuckles. The rest is mostly just trial and error. The duo encounters EXELLER, where he tries to flirt with Knuckles. Knuckles, being the bashful guy he is, threatens EXELLER's life. He charges in to fight him so Cream can get away. He's immediately set on fire and Cream is stopped by Tails. When she tries to run away, Amy blocks her path. When all hope seems lost, it is. She's taken somewhere else entirely. Words warn you not to keep going, and as you do, a spooky-looking Sonic face fills the screen. It then cuts to Cream, who's been turned to stone, the entity saying he stole EXELLER's victim. A perfect decoration for his garden. Okay, so I think this guy was going to be DLC and unique to the Spirits of Hell universe. I think his name is the Sculpture, but I'm not entirely sure. Stuff was canceled for Spirits of Hell 3, and there's only a few people who know what this guy was gonna be. I won't go into too much detail about it in this video, but the idea seemed pretty cool. Alright, memory fragment time. Knuckles is pushing the Master Emerald, and Cream wants to know why. Earlier, Knuckles was asked to move the Master Emerald to Hidden Palace, so this links with that memory fragment with Amy. Cream offers to help, but Knuckles says no, which is fair considering Cream couldn't do very much. Cream asks why he didn't ask his friends for help, and Knuckles, being the responsible guy he is, says friends won't always be there to help you, and he has to rely on himself. Cream refutes this, saying friends would make it easier. Knuckles isn't a hater. He doesn't see it as practical to ask people when he could do it himself. He pushes it past her and says you're the only one who can help you sometimes. Anyway, Knuckles walks away and Cream says she has to give Amy her weird pills, which, if you remember, Cream handed pills in another memory fragment. The Knuckles and Cream duo doesn't have much to it, and is one of the shortest endings in the game by far. Alright, next up is, oh no. Oh no, not this ending. Guys, maybe we could just skip this. No, I have to do Cream and Tails duo ending? Fine. But prepare for me to yell and to be freaked out because this ending is messed up. Like Knuckles before, when we save Tails, we have to fight Amy. Once again, these fights share similar patterns, but there are different ways to attack. The stupid balloon attack is back, and you have to just hope you're good enough to dodge everything until she shifts back into another attack. Like most of Tails' level, you have to use rings to attack, or jump into Amy. Though jumping into her won't always work, but using the ring attack can feel sluggish and honestly hard to use. There's one particular attack where Amy has her heat-seeking hammer, because it's able to do that now for some reason. And orbs that will hit you. It's your job to fly at the right angle, drop a ring, and move out of the way until you get your next chance. It's going to take a few tries, but the key is patience and timing, as it is for most of the game. After beating Amy, Alice sends Tails elsewhere, and as per usual, after beating a boss, we get a memory fragment. In this memory, Amy is asking to hide from something. Tails is a little confused. It's Sonic. He says he thinks some girl has been following him, like everywhere he goes. Tails, knowing Amy is hiding, suddenly says Sonic should do a running challenge, giving him 20 minutes to complete it. Sonic immediately takes the challenge and runs off. Amy introduces herself since this is the first time they're meeting, and Amy mentions not having any friends. Tails says he can relate because before Sonic he didn't know anyone, but he offers to help Amy get acquainted with Sonic, and that's the memory fragment. This leads into how Amy becomes better friends with Sonic, but unfortunately it's spoiled by doing the stupid Sally level again. Watch Tails get slapped again because it's funny. Then skip ahead where Tails saves Cream from Tails' doll. They have a wholesome moment where Tails comforts Cream, telling her that everything is going to be okay and that he's here now, taking the role of the hero that Sonic would normally be. What's cool is both Tails and Cream can fly, but usually Cream has to fly over the lake. This time, Tails just picks her up and carries her over. Then they reach the gate. The same thing happens as before. Tails hurts himself to get inside. When asked if they need medical help, Tails says yes, but Cream is the one to notice Sally's eyes. Tails asks Sally to prove she's not a fake, and in response, she immediately bodies Bunny. Rest in peace, Bunny. You will be missed. Then the funniest thing happens. Tails' doll just sends Sally away. This is personal in this route. Then the most annoying boss in this game starts. You have to protect Cream, hit Tails' doll an insane amount of times, but you can't because he will just shield himself. Just spam hit Cream until either she dies or you do. Sorry. This fight is just so annoyingly difficult. You're constantly moving, so you get sent backwards the moment you hit the ground. There is a technique where you have to jump on Tails' doll's head multiple times when he moves, but this requires perfect positioning and timing. You will get hit multiple times in this fight, and it's incredibly long. You'll lose rings, and the only way to get them back is to have Cream occasionally drop them or pick it up after you get hit. But again, you have to hope you're in a good position because Tails' doll can just hit you again and you make no progress. In terms of being annoying, this boss fight is the worst. It took me so many tries. I literally screamed when I beat it. Please, 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 please. No, no, no. Yes, yes, no. Yes! Let's go! And was the ending worth it? No. It's really messed up. Tails' doll knocks Tails over and continues to blame Cream for leaving him behind. Tails' doll goes to finish off Tails, but at the last minute, the original sends his copy to the Shadow Realm. Though the two-tailed fox doesn't get off easy, as there is a giant cut over his eye. Tails says their best way of beating this is the Master Emerald, which is in the tower. They will need to take an elevator in order to reach it. The two make their way up, but the elevator gets stuck along the way. Tails says it shouldn't be too long, but says they have enough time to sit down and chat. Cream doesn't want to talk, feeling like all this is her fault, but Tails reassures her. Cream continues to be harsh on herself, but Tails tries to relate to her and how he made a lot of mistakes in the past. Cream feels a little better, but wishes that Amy could be here. Tails wonders if she's okay, and says if you're alone, you likely won't survive. After chatting for a bit, Cream asks if it's okay to sleep. After all, it's been a long day. Tails agrees and says he should probably do the same. We only see Tails wake up as half the screen is covered in darkness for some reason. Tails says he slept for a while, but notices he has blood around his mouth when Tails turns around and realizes it was him who did this. He tries to tell himself it's natural, foxes hunt bunnies all the time, and he was starving. It turns out he lost track of time for how long they have been in there. He didn't realize he lost control of himself and ate the rabbit down to its bones. My jaw literally dropped at this because what the hell? And not to be that guy, but both Cream and Tails can fly. I get Tails being weak from before, but all things considered, Cream could fly and use her speed boost. I've seen this girl fly to the top of literal skyscrapers, but I also understand it's a tense situation, and maybe this whole thing made Tails lose his mind as Cream was sleeping the first night. Regardless, what an insane turn of events. I was not expecting something like this to happen, but honestly, the true horror of this route is still the Tails doll fight. In the memory fragment, Tails is once again teaching Cream how to fly. Cream isn't sure about the place they're at as it has incredibly strong winds, but Tails believes she can do it. Ultimately, they decide not to and head back to Tails' workshop. Cream saying she isn't ready yet. All things considered, Cream flies better than Tails in this game, so I think that's good. This next ending is unique as it's actually a trio ending, the only one in the game. In order to get this ending, you need Tails, Cream, and Sally to survive specifically. So when we go through, play the levels until Tails saves Cream from Tails doll. Only difference, they run into Sally along the way. There's a bit of doubt if they are demons or not, but quickly decide they need to stick together regardless. Considering this is a Sally route, we'll be going through the sewers. This time, the excuse is that Tails feels like the smell is awful, so he wants to fly ahead and get out as soon as possible. Cream saying the same thing as before. Even though it was Tails' idea to stick together, he still went ahead. He even says EXELLER can feel where they are and can teleport to them. After beating Sally's level, the three meet up again. Like the Cream ending, the trio go onto the train. Remember when Sally said if only Tails were here to help fix the train in the Cream duo ending? Well, now he is. Together, they could fix the train in no time. And what do you know? They actually do, and all the passengers are alive. Sally says once they arrive at their destination, she'll go back for the rest. Tails argues that that's probably a bad idea, but Sally and Cream think there are people who need to be saved. But it can't be that easy, as something is on top of the train. It's the bloody-eyed blue blur, and without hesitation, he begins to attack Sally. Soon, Cream and Tails join the fight. But Cheese comes in and knocks Cream back. Tails attempts to protect Cream, and as the fight goes on, you have your favorite thing, quick time events. Yes! Thank you, game! I wanted more of these! After Tails hits some sick moves, white begins to fill the screen. Same goes for Sally on her side of things. After the train stops, Knuckles is seen standing over a defeated Tails. EXELLER shows up again and congratulates them on surviving for so long, but they're outnumbered now. EXELLER orders Amy and Knuckles to finish them off, but as he walks away, his eyes begin to glow and he kneels over. He needs more victims, more suffering. Like we discovered before, something happened to him, and if he doesn't cause suffering, he grows weaker and more unstable. Now, there is a bit of a secret route to take here. If you miss the QTE as Tails and you don't hit the button, Sally is left alone. It's here she's taken to, oh, this is a reference to the original Sally.EXE game. This is basically just her becoming demonized and a nod to the original game. The memory fragment shows Sally and Tails discussing strategy, with Cream joining them because there's a problem with her island and Flickies. Cream shows up seeking protection since before, Sally said if she needed anything, she could ask. Sally says she hopes to help, and that's pretty much the memory fragment. I gotta say, guys, after doing all these endings, especially after the Tails doll fight, I just don't know if I could do this.
Hey, it's me, Toadbup, and definitely not an AI-generated voice that Dunkachi created. I'm here to talk some Eggman. The Eggman and Cream duo ending begins with Cream and Tails doll escaping together, but Tails doll seems to be damaged. Despite the fact that you just spent a whole level saving him, he's too damaged to move on and just takes himself out in front of Cream. Eggman rolls up at this point, grabs the Chaos Emerald, and he and Cream team up for the time being. Using the Chaos Emerald as a power source, they teleport to what I think is the Death Egg. Ivo brandishes his piece, Cream hops on his jetpack, and they explore onward. The gameplay is pretty simple here. Just navigate through the area with your jetpack. Thank God Eggman's jetpack works this time around. After Spirits of Hell, I thought that would never be enjoyable. There are these electric walls, but you can just shield right through them. Eventually this, okay, I'll be honest, I haven't played most of this game, so I have no clue what this guy's name technically is. Let's call him Blue Barney. Blue Barney chases you while you gotta do some more navigating through the electric walls. It's pretty simple, and eventually you make it to this control panel and escape Bluey Barnacle. But of course, because God forbid that out of the 50 million endings this game has, more than one of them be happy, EXELLER shows up. Eggman's all like, psh, you and what army? And then EXELLER doesn't have an army, but he still one-taps Cream and Eggman. Even after Eggy here threatens to blow up everything, he's still taken care of easily. It's a shame that this is one of the only duo endings that Eggman has, because it's genuinely one of the weaker ones from what I've seen of this game. There's still some solid duo endings out there, but for Eggman and Cream, it's alright, I guess. It's not that good. Anyways, I've said my part. Make sure to donate all of your money to Doonkachi. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Toadbup. Very cool. So you'll help me beat the rest of the game, right? Right, Toadbup? I guess he left. I mean, the next ending can't be bad, right? Let's see who's next. No! Not the Sally solo ending! Well, at least we already know her duo endings for Cream and Amy, so let's get to it, I guess. We have to play through a lot of her levels again, which is so fun. I love the mechanic of Sally. Really cool idea. Stages, it's hit or miss. Her Volcano Valley level can be irritating, as there are death traps and tricky jumps placed about, but the level itself isn't too long. Cream and Amy come to finish Sally off, but she's able to run away, but instead jumps off a cliff into lava because she boosted right before and didn't realize it was up ahead. As a Sonic fan, this is relatable. Also, Amy can call her hammer back like Mjolnir, and personally, I think that's worth the demonization. Before Sally hits lava, she's saved by Alice. Sally has her moment of walking through darkness, encountering everyone who lost, showing it's only her. For each solo ending, I believe it's Alice showing them this for closure, though I'm not entirely sure. When Sally wakes up, she's at the main tower, and when she moves forward, she finds a screen. From here, it tells her that EXELLER wants power from the Master Emerald. She also finds out where it is, and from here on, we know what we gotta do. To the Master Emerald! Okay, so Freedom Tower for Sally is, fine. Yeah, a few traps along the way to stop you, but I mean, it's a really short level. Once you know the way, it's pretty easy to do. However, the part afterwards isn't as forgiving. We have to fight EXECUN while going up, and we use the arrow keys to move around. Remember the Sonic portion for Sally's other level? It's like that, but harder. Depending on the element, you have to use that to attack. Your window for doing so is pretty small, and as the fight goes on, it gets harder. There are rings that fall, but one particular part in this fight drives me nuts. A clone of EXELLER will slowly move its way towards you. What's the problem? Well, now you have to position yourself just right, or keep moving, as to not get hit by EXECUN or the clone. You genuinely have to have great reflexes, and the worst part is that the clone will despawn, then spawn back in the same spot that he despawned at. I would describe this fight as obnoxious and took me a lot of tries, but I usually felt great after completing it. Though playing through the level again after dying, personally, I hate the gaps between boss fights, which is why I wanted to bash my head against the wall for some of these. When we make it to the Master Emerald, Sally is just straight up kicked away by EXELLER. But Alice floats down and says there has to be another ending for him and resets the timeline. I know this game had a formula, but why even give Sally a solo ending? I know it helps them learn to survive, but she got done dirty. Anyway, memory fragment time. Sally wakes up abruptly from a dream, screaming "Father," when suddenly Sonic appears through the window. Apparently, every other city is having some sort of problem, except for Freedom City because it's the main one. It's here I wondered what kind of world this really was, and how greedy Sally truly is. Sonic suggests just visiting the cities and trying to fix it there, though the only thing that really needs fixing is the electricity for everyone. Sonic wants to go on an adventure, but Sally wants him to stay here because there are badniks. She herself is going to look for energy supplies outside of the Chaos Emeralds, once again linking her to the Cream memory fragment. After completing endings, the story slowly starts to reveal itself. How all these characters are linked and why EXELLER is doing this. It's just a shame that there had to be random difficulty spikes. This game asked a lot out of you. For Spirits of Hell, you only had 3 people. This game, there's a lot more. Keep in mind, I had to study and play this game a lot. So take what I say with the understanding I've been doing this for a while. Alright, the next ending is Sally and Tails. We skip all the way ahead to after the sewers. Instead of going to the train, Tails feels the Master Emerald nearby, and since he used it, he's able to feel its presence. With its power, they can survive. Along the way, Robotnik and Knuckles are here to stop them. With a little bit of discourse, Knuckles ends up tackling Tails, splitting the two up. Here, you can pick between Sally or Tails. Which one you choose is the boss you're fighting. If you choose Tails, prepare to hate your life. I'm not sure what happened, but Knuckles locks the fuck in. He moves incredibly fast, and while he has a readable pattern, if you don't know how to control Tails well, you're just screwed. It's also really tricky because you only get 3 platforms in the second phase, and it sucks. I do think that there are harder boss fights, but this one is still really difficult. After beating Knuckles, we kick him into the void, but Tails gets visions from another timeline, one where they lost. It's usually Tails who recognizes that there can be a better ending, but the only way to achieve that is by resetting the timeline, or rather, to not be in this one. In a crazy turn of events, Tails tricks Sally into handing him the bracelet, and with it, he uses it on her right then and there, then on himself, then the credits roll. Okay, so let's go back to when we could play as Sally. Is her boss fight better? In my opinion, yes. This does not make it easy, however. Eggman spams attacks at you. It requires patience, attacking, then going to this one spot. Repeat this and you'll eventually win. You are guaranteed to get hit, but if you keep a ring, it makes it easier. Still gave me one hell of a headache. I feel like a broken record at this point, but the outcome is the same. Only if you choose Sally first, you might be pretty confused as to why Tails randomly just does this. But don't be so down, guys. Memory fragment time. Tails builds a machine to cover the lake in light and asks for a bunny kiss. I'm just gonna skip ahead. Apparently, Tails has found something weird about the next winter. Using his weather machine, it'll be abnormal. High temperatures first half, really low the second. Sally says it could have malfunctioned, but Tails argues that he checked. Sally says then they will be ready, and it ends. Maybe this was the first sign of EXELLER coming? Next up is Sally and Knuckles. Oh, wait, there isn't a Sally and Knuckles. Sally and Eggman. Nope, not that either. Wow, really? Huh. Guess it comes to where it all started. We have the boy solo ending and the true ending. I guess, we're at the final stretch now. 26 pages of script, and what a journey it's been. Let's do this. Tails' solo ending is pretty messed up. Poor guy can't catch a break. This will be the second time he has to go through hell. Since we played through a large part of his route, we can skip to the part where it's just him. Remember when Tails mentioned it was gonna be a really cold next winter? Well, this is where that applies. EXELLER takes Tails to a super cold green hill zone, which is called Silent Hill. Oh yeah, because one time wasn't enough. Memories flood as he runs through the hills, with all of his friends and moments he experienced, rubbing it in that he will never see them again. Tails, at the end of it, falls over, exhausted. And when he wakes up, he's in Illusion Hill. I gotta say, the visuals here are really cool. Different parts of the level glitching out, and as you run along, illusions of everyone attack you. The level is mostly for visual effect, and it's actually quite easy. There might be a few spots where you get hit by surprise, though. After completing this level, the illusions continue. Sonic shows up, happy to have found his friend. Tails, being completely untrusting, isn't convinced this Sonic is real. This Sonic keeps up the facade, saying they lost signal for a day. Tails runs up and just... yeah. And right after this happens, Amy runs up and acts surprised. Tails says it was just an illusion, but now Amy is afraid. Tails spin dashes past Amy, and we have to go into another clicking section. Somehow, this one is harder. You only get a few tries, but it moves so incredibly fast. I mean, it could have been worse, but you will not be expecting this. To top it off, EXELLER is there to fuck with Tails more, convincing him he made a terrible mistake. Tails stands firm on his belief until he reaches the Master Emerald. Alice appears, you guys get the idea. Memory fragment time. This is basically just Sonic meeting Tails for the first time. People from the village destroyed his inventions, and Sonic is there to cheer him up about it. Though it's pretty funny because Eggman suddenly comes in and takes Tails away, and Sonic goes after him. I just like to think he did that just because he could. Though, that's the Tails solo, though. I still kind of feel bad for the poor guy. But we have 2 more endings to go before the grand finale. Will they have it worse? Let's find out. Okay, so I know I said this before with other endings, but Knuckles Solo gets really weird. Knuckles' routes follow similarly to his duo ending with Amy, and he gets sent to Hydro City. But I hope you like the first level where he's spinning because we're back in round 2! Yes! Yes, dude! This is exactly what I wanted! Okay, but to be fair, it's hard, but you get more health and it's a little more fair this time. EXELLER will shoot things at you, and you'll have to avoid spikes, but you can take a few hits, and as long as you know where to move to, there is a little bit of room to make mistakes. I still screamed when I saw this though. Luckily, it's not as hard. When Knuckles escapes, he's able to run away, until a mysterious hedgehog breaks his legs and vaporizes him to collect an emerald. Oh, what? You thought this was a Knuckles solo ending? Nah, it's a Nightmare Universe takeover. The person who he saw is known as Chaos Hunter. He's half EXELLER and half Sonic. I believe there was some sort of cleansing, but it failed. Their timeline gets erased, but he's able to survive because he's part EXELLER. Now he's hunting him down because he blames EXELLER for resetting his world. EXELLER mentions that it might be one of EXELLER's clones who killed Knuckles, so he feels he needs to talk to him. EXELLER goes to meet with Provision, Negagen, and EXELLER. EXELLER shares what happened, and for some reason he couldn't sense him, nor could he read his thoughts. Instead, he felt EXELLER's energy, which is why he knew who to talk to. EXELLER is confused, as his followers have been demonized or dead. EXELLER explains he doesn't fully understand who this guy is, and keeps defying EXELLER's simulations. Though it's here we find out something interesting. EXELLER asks about EXELLER's Sonic, and he's still here. Sometimes EXELLER even talks to Sonic, and he sees and hears every conversation. So he's had to watch all of his friends perish, but I think he knows the timeline will reset. At least I hope so. EXELLER says that if he sees this hunter again, take him out. With one more snarky comment, EXELLER jumps through the ring and leaves. When he comes back, he goes to talk to Alice, trying to reset the timeline. She tries to bond with them as they fly towards it, but EXELLER has other plans. Alice stops him from moving forward. EXELLER says something about a best ending, and the world gets reset. My thoughts? I believe at this time, Dan and Jace were friends. You could tell by the Nightmare Universe stuff, though we do still get a Knuckles memory fragment. This is just classic old Knuckles and Sonic banter. Knuckles thinks Sonic is trying to steal the Master Emerald, and Sonic is trying to tell him Robotnik is the one who wants it. Knuckles doesn't care, and they run off to fight, as Tails stands there confused. And that's that. I do like that they went a different direction, despite what I said, but ultimately felt weird to put it on a solo route. But then again, they got that time in the spotlight in the first game, so maybe it's okay. Yes, that just leaves Robotnik's ending. For Robotnik, you don't have to fight Amy because he just kind of flies away. There's a flashback to Sonic CD, basically just Amy saying Metal Sonic will lose, yada yada. I feel like Eggman doesn't get as much attention in this game. I mean, this memory fragment just shows him being the villain, which he is. But we already knew this, so I don't fully see the point. Anyway, let's fast forward to Eggman waking up in Metropolis. His jetpack is now working at 75% capacity, so we're actually able to fly this time around. No broken jetpack here. Does that make his levels more fun? Nah. He has a laser gun that lets him shoot things, so that's kind of cool. But you have a cooldown after shooting a laser. He slides around easily, and his levels mostly involves him turning a wheel or shooting a wall. At one point, you're chased by lava because this game just loves to do that. So you have to run around and find what thing to shoot or wheel to turn until eventually you escape. I don't mind this too much, it's definitely been worse. Eggman escapes to find no power, and EXELLER is there to meet him. After some banter and Eggman finding someone who he believes is more annoying than Sonic, he's taken to Coal City. Everyone is gone, and EXELLER is here to toy with Eggman. And boy, does he toy with you. Now this level is annoying. EXELLER will chase you around the map. There's lava, obstacles, and he can just spam hit you because he's really fast. To this level's credit, it is very short, but the difficulty is up there. Robotnik makes his way to the clouds, finds Alice, and is taken to the Master Emerald. According to Alice, EXELLER's goal is to get the Master Emerald in order to become his real form, like her. He also wants to kill 6 people who are in the prophecy. Alice requests he try to stay alive, and she resets the timeline. Memory fragment. This shows the origin between Sonic and Robotnik. Sonic is showcasing his speed, but he ends up going too fast and something happens. Basically, the negative energy of chaos influenced Robotnik to become like that. It changes Sonic's fur color to blue. Avi doesn't remember who Sonic is, and Sonic legit calls him fat. I mean, he did suddenly gain weight, but you didn't need to say that, Sonic. Eggman, you're fat. Oink oink, Eggman. He tells the hedgehog to leave and resents Sonic because of what happened to him. And that's the ending. I can't believe we're actually here. We've played every level, watched every cutscene, and now there's only one thing left to do. We have to save everyone and get the best ending. After 28 pages of script, too many hours of playtime, we're finally here. Before everyone meets up, there are a few new events that happen. When Amy meets up with Cream, Tails doll has become sort of sentient, making choices on their own in order to protect Cream. When Sally joins in, she accuses Amy of hurting Cream. They fight for a little while, so much so weapons are drawn, but then Cream gets up and begins to go Super Saiyan due to the emerald influencing her. Cream snaps out of it because Amy reassures her, and when Cream snaps out of it, she informs them that Freedom City will be under attack by EXELLER in 1 hour from now. They rush to the shortcut in the sewers. Most of the group splits up. Tails doll tells Sally he feels chaos energy here, and that means we'll have to go pick it up real quick. He leads us to it, but as we arrive, the highest from earlier is there until his head falls off and EXELLER takes the emerald. If you know the context here, it's pretty funny because Sally accuses EXELLER of killing his own kind, but EXELLER says he's dead. Everyone else arrives, but our big bad freezes them in place and takes their Chaos Emerald. They only have an hour and a half, according to EXELLER, so either Tails doll lied or EXELLER is being a nice guy. Though he was nice enough to let everyone go, and there is a reason for this. Not much time to talk, the girls escape. And as they do, they meet up with the guys. Oh yeah, everyone is back together again. Sally, being the trusting and loving person she is, immediately accuses them of being fake. You know, I get it. Things are fishy, but luckily the boys convince the girls that everything is alright. There's a funny interaction because Tails doll can scan and see if they are real people. Cream asks if he can scan them, and it turns out he already did, prompting Eggman to get pissed. Dialogue can be pretty funny in this game, and a lot of interactions are endearing in a way. Sally tells Knuckles to show everyone to the safe room. She opts to stay behind so no one is following. As this happens, Alice reveals herself. She asks what Sally plans to do, which she plans to get an army and protect their city. Though Alice says she could have avoided a lot of deaths if they just handed over the Master Emerald, but Sally is having none of that. And from now on, Alice is able to reset the timeline for you back to when everyone is together. Now, keep in mind, you will be able to use the selection screen, but this game gives you a few additional tries to get further than you did. Alice flies away and Sally goes to meet up with everyone else. They try to discuss strategy, and I understand things are stressful, but Sally is just a bitch for no reason here. Amy says it's likely the only way, but Sally is like, easy for you to say that. You have to look at family members mourning, or something like that. Nobody talks to Amy that way. Like, you have an hour. Why are you instigating a fight? Amy gets mad at this, saying Sally probably wishes she was dead. Then Sally, in her random-ass cruelty, says it would have been better for her to die like her family. Eggman also, as we know, killed her parents accidentally. So Eggman is just kind of standing there awkwardly. This is why I hate Sally in this game. She's instigating and ultimately being a poor leader. She does realize what she said was messed up, but instead of Amy leaving the room, she has the audacity to say she needs a couple of minutes. But Amy, being the better character, goes to talk with Sally to try and settle things down. And at first, Sally is still a bitch. Amy admits she did things that Sally might have reasons to be mad at her, and that she isn't mad. Immediately, Sally brings up the machine. Like, wow, okay, Sally, she used the machine to get a little older because she has a crush on someone. Maybe have a higher security? Why is Amy just able to walk in there? Oh, she makes me so mad. Amy is still being nice and saying she just wanted to be seen as lovable. Luckily, Sally becomes a little nicer, asking Rose if she remembers her parents. Amy was a lonely but clever girl, able to survive up until she met Sonic. Sally got reports she was afraid of Metal Sonic after that, and she responds by saying she has mental issues. Sally relates to her, saying that after she lost her father, she promised to find her mother. Amy, being the sweetheart she is, says that maybe after this, she could help her search for her. Sally, I'm just going to say, you do not deserve this. Is better than me because I would not be saying this. Anyway, Cream comes up to check on them and see if they're okay. Sally comes up with a plan to protect the city and defend the Master Emerald. She assigns places for the group to go. Amy will go with Robotnik because he's not to be trusted. Cream will stick with Tails, and if communication is lost, it's their job to tell Amy. Cream doubts herself because she's not super strong, but Sally is like, you could do it, Cream. I believe in you. Sally, you got pissed at Amy for using a machine that makes her older, but it's okay to send Cream against the equivalent of a god? I'm so done with her, guys. Anyway, Amy believes in her too and says that she's never useless. The next part is Tails doll and Cream bonding. It's basically just Cream blaming herself for not helping to save someone. Her father stepped in to protect her, and because of that, he didn't make it. She blames herself, and Tails doll reassures her and says that it was her fault. Cream literally has it the worst all the time. Why are we guilting her into going into something that's understandably scary? Anyway, there is also a moment where they bond and Cream considers Tails doll a friend, and I'm not sure if you noticed it yet, but it kind of fills that slot that Cheese had. Tails doll is learning feelings, and when he's called a friend, he says that feels nice. Though time is running short, and the group gathers once more to form a plan. Sally says she's gonna be yapping a lot, and not to interrupt her until after she's done. Sally lays out the plan. Knuckles and Tails doll will be with her in the front lines. Tails will be in the security room controlling laser beams and generators, joined by Cream. Amy and Robotnik will have to get the Master Emerald, giving instructions not to activate it. Cream asks if Tails doll can join her and Tails because she's likely afraid he's not going to make it. But Sally gives a hard no. Knuckles speaks up and says that he should be the one to go to the Master Emerald, but Sally argues he's too valuable as a fighter. Since Amy has never fought in a war and Robotnik isn't useful without his devices, although I would argue that Eggman is really smart and could make something, and Amy is almost as strong as Knuckles, if not the same strength. Hell, Cream avoided the entire Sonic cast. You know what? I digress. After further discussion, it's finally time. They gather all of their armies, and we get a really cool cutscene that plays out. Though the flashing lights are a bit much, I really like seeing the fight go on, though it's cut short by an energy ball that EXELLER shoots. With one last frame of all the survivors, the gameplay begins. This is the true war. First up is Sally. She has to protect the generators because the city is under attack. Luckily, there's a chalkboard that shows you what to do. It's the same thing we did the whole game, but I don't have to say it. Tornado, rock, fire, these are the elements you have to use depending on the enemy that comes towards you. There's a health bar for the machine, and at first it's relatively easy. If you know who comes from each side, you could spam it beforehand and protect the generator. But you have to do this multiple times, and these guys get fast and start to move in different patterns. It's really easy for them to suddenly start spamming things at you, and these generator moments feel super tense. I ended up just spamming attacks on each side, hoping that I would smack something, and eventually it did work out for me. Though this little shit suddenly hit the generator. Though that's pretty much Sally's section. Not bad. EXELLER, being in some sort of super form, prepares to launch a giant fireball. But it might be an illusion. Sally suggests looking for generators as they might be able to help protect the city. Here, Knuckles uses his treasure hunting skills from Sonic Adventure. You are on a time limit as the bar slowly fills up. This area can get tricky as there are spike traps, bottomless pits, you know, the usual. On top of that, you have to listen for a beeping and guess where an energy shard may be. They are in generators, so it's easier to spot, but how you get to them can be tricky. It also comes down to if you know your way around or not. After finding the last one, we cut to Robotnik and Amy. And as soon as Amy walks in, the door closes and Robotnik is left outside. Oh, and remember that little guy from earlier? The cute little EXELLER? Well, he transforms and it's round 2 from the first game. But first, we have to deal with trauma. Metal Sonic is here, and given Amy's mental issues, she's terrified and runs away. Alright, now it's time for another Eggman level. You have to shoot your laser in order to stun the guy coming after you. It really just comes down to spamming lasers and flipping the right switch so you can progress. I died a few times at one spot because they put a maze here, but thank God this little shit gets what's coming to him. Sally blasts something at the freak, and as he dies, he looks at the camera and it glitches out. We don't get much time to process, however, as Tails and Cream have a job to do. Or rather, just Tails for now. It's his job to find the remaining generators since the shield hasn't activated for some reason. Cream stays behind because Tails doesn't want her to get hurt, but Cream feels the same way. But he's on a mission. Tails' level is a mix between Eggman's level and Knuckles' level. The block switch mechanic is back. Yes, dude! I love this! Though I will say you're not being chased, but you are on a time limit. I haven't said it much, but the music choices are pretty good for this game. I felt determined to complete this level. But before I continue, I want this to be known. After this point, I stopped playing the game, and when I came back, for whatever reason, my save file completely erased. All of the endings, everything was gone. Luckily, I was able to get a save file with everything done, but I absolutely panicked when I saw this. Thank God for that save file. This video would not have happened without it. Alright. Back to the story. Everyone meets up, but both Cream and Amy aren't there. Amy is having a mental breakdown. Images of the one she fears flashes, but a voice guides her. It reassures her that this wasn't her fault, that the situation with her parents wasn't her fault, and it turns out to be Cream. Cream actually didn't say anything about her parents, though. She just begged her to snap out of it. Oh my God! It's and then you add the Metal Sonic, and he just bodied Cream. Now, it's time for Amy to face her fears. She's actually going to fight Metal Sonic and end this nightmare once and for all. And you know what? This boss fight is hard, but it felt badass. The music, Amy confronting her demons head on. I mean, I still got annoyed, but it was a really cool boss fight. And once it's all over, the disguise falls. It was never scary looking to begin with. It was just Metal Sonic, and the scarier look was a reflection of how Amy saw it. I really like this idea, and it was well executed. Amy has a moment to be badass, and she fought her fear head on. Now, nothing can stop her. Cream turns out to be okay, because I'm convinced she's one of the strongest in the cast in this game. Then, everyone meets up. We found out that Tails doll was likely destroyed, and Cream is upset by this. But before any fighting could break out again, Sally is suddenly sensible and understands they need to go, though they encounter a problem. EXEBARK, EXECUN, and EXEBY, I love the naming scheme here, though I do have to admit it's a little silly. They also explain that they're special clones of EXELLER, representing some of his traits. EXECUN is cunning, EXEBARK is bloodlust, and EXEBY is hypocritical mercy. They all do the fusion dance to become this thing. Cream proves to be the main character once again as Exekun awakens everyone's demons and suspends them in the air. Cream not being affected right away as she doesn't have much guilt or demons. It's not until Exekun tells her that Vanilla is dead and it's her fault. As she's being overtaken, she has to fight it by a quick time event, kinda. You have to hit the button in the middle, and gonna be honest, this made me laugh. Like, this is the minigame you have to face when dealing with trauma? The thing goes pretty fast, but this just seemed like an interesting choice. I mean, me personally, I was fine with not having anything here, but luckily Cream is able to summon her mother in her subconscious mind by hitting the green buttons 3 times in a row. If only real life was like that. Time to deal with my problems. A little green bar that you have to hit 3 times. Vanilla becomes childhood good future and tells her that it wasn't her fault and that she has to fight to save her friends and that it isn't too late. Shout out to you if you get that reference. Cream breaks free, ready to finally protect other people, filled with hope. She is 100% Teen Gohan in this moment, by the way. She even says she hates fighting, but knows she has to here. And we got a boss fight, and it lasts so long. You basically have to fight each of the Sonic cast, and each time you hit them, the further they slip away from Ultimate Exekun's grasp. Some parts of the fight aren't that bad, but the length and patience you have to have for it is just... it makes me feel like it drags. And again, Cream has to fight off the whole Sonic cast and win for like the 15th time. And once Cream does defeat Exekun, he's a sore loser about it and tries to self-destruct. Before this could land, Tailsdoll comes in and saves her, throwing her into a closed-off room, pulling the lever. Kinda reminds me of a certain android and a teenage Saiyan, but Tailsdoll has a curse where he turns evil over time, and instead of turning evil, he chooses to sacrifice himself and spend his last moments talking to Cream. Cream knows about some of the timelines where he attacked her. Tailsdoll explains that because Cream did nothing wrong to him, he's still in control. He also feels like he doesn't deserve to be treated like a normal person, but Cream says he's a friend to her. She stands up and puts her hand on the door, Tailsdoll doing the same as the explosion on the other side goes off. This is nice and all, but what if the explosion was way more powerful than this? Anyway, nothing but his eye remains. Cream picks it up as to never forget him and goes to meet up with her friends. Amy is the first to be awake and says she's proud of Cream for doing this. Everyone else wakes up and shares one more wholesome moment before reaching the Master Emerald. But it's too late, as EXELLER is already there sitting on the Master Emerald. In order to stop this, or fight it, Knuckles instructs everyone to form a circle and hold hands, leading them to where most of the lore is going to be revealed. Each character is brought to this world and each one gets different pieces of dialogue. So everyone sit back, I'm going to try my best to explain what is happening for each of the entry points, and if I poorly summarize it, forgive me. Cream is up first. There are various diary entries by EXELLER, revealing just what has been happening. The first one explains how he wants to be the protector of Earth and be able to roam around without the king stopping him. He has 10 years left to complete it. Teachers have been telling them that Mobians are bad, but he believes otherwise. Alice talked to a few of them, saying they were nice. When you continue forward, you'll find out it's a pretty easy level, but if you fail, you just get sent back to the beginning. No lives lost, just a quick light flash. In the world of EXELLER, entertainment is banned, and in the second diary entry, EXELLER says that he had a secret club with Alice where they could act and mentions having to avoid Wayne. And as he thinks about this, he feels nervous. What's odd is Alice played the role of the main villain, which even EXELLER feels doesn't fit her. He even notices that they take a lot of entertainment from mortals, and then the diary entry concludes. The next diary entry reads, someone named Laura humiliated him, and of course he bumped into Wayne. It didn't end well, but he noticed that his eyes had been covered with a red veil and claws grew on him and he felt aggressive. But everything went back to normal before anything happened and Wayne didn't notice. He's having a shitty day so far, but to make it worse, Alice can't play her role for whatever reason. And since EXELLER has an amazing memory and can remember things by reading it once, He has to be the one to take the main villain role, and he doesn't want to let Alice down. End of entry. You can kind of start to see what this is alluding to. The next diary entry talks about Leroy, the role of the main character taking a glass of blood somewhere as to drink it later. Apparently, if one highest drinks the blood of another highest, they drain that highest of their magic, and the highest who drank it gets their magic. Though this is prohibited, EXELLER talks him out of doing this and says it's much better to talk things out than to use your fist. Damn, just how different was this guy? He writes that he's about to go on stage to perform at a club, and nothing terrible should happen. As you would expect, something terrible happened. His rage had consumed him when he met Wayne, red claws and rage. Though he speculates this is because of the harsh light and unfamiliar highest. He doesn't remember much that happened. Alice went on stage and it was over. Everyone else thought it was a game. So seemingly nothing happened. After all of this, Alice found out about the blood and lectured Leroy, but let him go. Alice would go on to ask EXELLER questions, though he would have no answers. So they ended up sitting on the ground looking at the stars, wondering if there are other universes somewhere else. They chat for a bit, Alice saying she and Rexer would teach EXELLER how to fly in Water Canyon, though he seems reluctant, saying that there's nothing to be afraid of. Right? And that's the cream segment. I think they had a lot of lore to drop at once, which led to these little diary entries. I know we need to learn the lore of EXELLER, but this is quite a bit of reading. I do think it tries to attach you to EXELLER and tell you that he had a life before this, and ultimately this is leading up to something. Tails' level begins. The diary starting where we left off. EXELLER learns to fly, and it seems to have went well. Someone named Miss May taught him, who's the caretaker of the 3rd class, and it keeps mentioning a spirit animal who's a panda, which is weird because that would imply pandas and spiritual animals exist there. Anyway, to many, Miss May is what mortals call a mother figure, but sadly her time has come. If a highest lives for 10,000 years, they begin to disappear, and EXELLER has some sort of crisis when realizing this. The highest will disintegrate in the effect of their favorite magic. In memory of her, he takes a Sakura petal and seals it into a Sakura petal medallion using a rune. Most people consider mourning a highest a manifestation of weakness, but EXELLER will wear it in memory of her and doesn't think this is wrong. A little later, EXELLER came across Laura, who for some reason apologized. She states when she humiliated him it was a defense mechanism. It sounds to me like she got therapy. EXELLER forgives her, saying she's just a victim of the terrible system of the highest. He goes on to say he doesn't agree with the king's policy. Half of the 2nd class despises the entire 3rd class. End of the entry. There's very light platforming going forward, though you do have to drop Tails' rings into vases to open a door to the next diary entry. EXELLER talks about what they call Dance Day. It's not actually called that, but the ritual movements look like human dances, and he finds that funny. Unfortunately, he needs to pick a partner. A partner could be any highest of any gender, and interestingly enough, EXELLER asks Laura. Laura is hesitant. She makes strange faces, but she accepts. He ends up having another argument with Wayne, and Laura ended up not coming to the ritual, leaving EXELLER to watch and feel like an idiot, watching as other highest exchange energy with each other. Though some highest were taken out of the hall due to the rune of sympathy activating, and the participants shouldn't feel sympathy. After the ritual, EXELLER sat by himself in the hall, alone. Thinking about how he lost the argument, Laura shows up, mentioning something about breaking a vow he made to Wayne. He doesn't ask how she did this, but asks why she did this. I'm not sure what this vow even was, but I'm just going to keep summarizing. Laura says that this is her way of making amends, and now they can communicate to her normally. EXELLER invites her to the ritual, and without the highest there, it would be a normal dance, so why not? Yeah, okay, I'm a little lost at this point. The next entry says that Leroy and Mia are missing, and that EXELLER, Alice, Rexer, Phil, and for some reason Wayne go to where they were last seen. On their way, EXELLER noticed a highest watching them, a spiritual animal of a peacock. His name is Riku, and while he was talking to him, a passerby looked at them like they were crazy. Riku tells the group where to find Leroy, but not Mia. He does say that Mia will find them herself. He notes that it sounds creepy, Riku even looked at Phil with a scary expression. But EXELLER is just glad to find information. I haven't said it much, but just because you can't die doesn't make this not rage bait at all. Flying with tails is genuinely annoying here. Honestly, just wish we could walk from one reading podium to another. The entry states EXELLER's group found Leroy, and the person with the red eye isn't a person at all. Could be a virus, a curse, or anything. Leroy does end up escaping, but now he's cursed. Shortly after, the king finds out about their adventure and punishes the group. Rexer got off with a warning. Laura, Phil, Wayne, and EXELLER had their magic prohibited for an entire week. Following this, Laura and Phil stay at his house for a while, digesting all the information. Though, they end up trying to distract themselves by reading books and having heart-to-heart conversations. EXELLER acknowledges that Tails is reading this, and that's the end of the Tails segment. So, Knuckles is up next. Knuckles starts with Alice and EXELLER traveling to Earth. It said they didn't find a trace of the thing they encountered, but met two Mobian hedgehogs. There was one older hedgehog and a child hedgehog. Alice found the smaller one to be annoying, while EXELLER found it to be cute. When coming back to the Eternal World, they would relax and try things they learned from the Mobians. Then, EXELLER gets kissed by Lara. Even though third classes can't have romantic relationships, they broke that rule. Gotta stop real quick and just say, would Knuckles even still be reading this? Okay, anyway, the next entry explains Laura was infected. She was found in a cave, madness in her eyes, just like the eyes of the highest former victim's memories. Right before his eyes. He continues writing a little more, saying he lost his friends, he lost his future and a friend. Remembering the words of Miss May to take care of all your friends, but he doesn't have many left. The next entry mentions him saying kill to Rexer and Alice, but excuses it as just being angry and that it was no big deal. EXELLER then goes on to talk about Rexer and Alice trying to understand him, and since they haven't been humiliated, how could they? Why does he have to endure this? He feels like someone is influencing his head, and he slowly starts to forget his friends for some reason. So at this point, it seems like he's infected or being infected by something. This was hinted at for a while, but it seems to grow strong. During the Amy portion, the first diary reads how he fell into a cave. Riku was there. He wasn't surprised until he found out who Riku had with him. He called himself the Spirit of Destiny. I think he persecutes those who change destiny. The spirits of fate only pursue highest, while mortals don't have them. He returns his memory, and as it would turn out, the king was the one who erased it. 9 years ago, Phil, Leroy, and Mia died. EXELLER even begged him not to have his memory erased. And as it turned out, Riku is visible to those who are connected with EXELLER's destiny, and who he killed or who he will kill. First, EXELLER put a curse on Leroy, scratching him. Then, on stage, he gave a curse to Mia. Then Lara when he kissed her. Riku didn't share this information 9 years ago because he would have known about his gift and would not have brought a curse on Leroy and Lara. Everyone is controlling him. A curse for them, a gift for you. It's said that EXELLER is actually a 0 class. All information about this class has been destroyed due to them being dangerous. His memory was erased as soon as he appeared in the world. They made him believe that he was a 3rd class, but they couldn't give him magic weaker than time and illusion, which is crazy because that's an insane ability. EXELLER states that the king destroyed his spirits of destiny, because he was destined to die at the hand of some highest, and Alice would have never existed. The 1st class makes heirs from a piece of another soul, and the king used EXELLER's soul for this. According to him, a soul the king uses becomes an heir, but in this case, only a small part has changed and split for him. This newborn highest is stronger. So Alice is technically EXELLER's sister. In the first 10 years, highest don't know anything and are puppets, though he alludes to the fact that Alice might have known a bit more than she leads on. In the next entry, he kills Riku so no one could control his destiny, and he gains all of his abilities. Being 3rd class, you typically get 2 magics you can use, but now he can use any magic he wants. Though Riku told him 0 class usually ends up being the villain, and he wants to prove Riku wrong. He thinks he wants to get rid of the king, but fights with himself. He spends time learning his abilities. We do a bit of platforming, and now we're Eggman. For those of you still watching, Thank you. We're almost done with the summary. Just Robotnik and Sally left. Eggman's reading starts with EXELLER unable to look into the reflection normally. He gets thoughts in his head. He wants to hurt someone, and it only gets worse. He can calm himself without killing. He just needs to make someone suffer or offend someone. He never thought he'd think about such things, but now he's enjoying the imagery in his head. Finding victims wouldn't be hard. Maybe then he could live in peace for a little while. From here, it gets pretty graphic as he gets revenge on Wayne. Afterwards, he feels satisfied yet regretful. The curse didn't make him more powerful, it unlocked abilities that were dormant. He tries to find Alice to ask questions, coming to the conclusion he only needs to make someone suffer to be satisfied. Gotta say, I think this is worse. At least if they pass away, they aren't suffering. Taking someone out isn't okay, but messing with them mentally, yeah, that's better morally. Great logic, EXELLER. The next diary entry shows EXELLER's sanity and how Alice views what's happening to him as a curse, but he sees it as a gift. Alice offers a way out, offering to hide her father from EXELLER's gift, and in exchange he can make others suffer or suffering of mortals who have done terrible things. But he doesn't want to live in fear that one day the king will find him, so he has to fight the king. Alice didn't want this, and EXELLER feels like he doesn't deserve to live, but he doesn't want to be erased. He wants one person to have memories of him, and he wants the same for others. As long as the king lives, that can't happen. The next entry tells that EXELLER was taken over by rage and completely decimated the king. He turned off the king's power somehow and calls himself OP. This dialogue just catches me off guard sometimes, man. Alright, Sally is up next. In this level, platforms are disappearing and reappearing. EXELLER writes how Alice let him go to the mortal world, but eventually people started to go after him. He feels as though Alice betrayed him and lied to his face. A rookie tried to spare him, but he just used him as a way of finding out how to fight highest easier. EXELLER does eventually get hit with a beam through his head and begins to disappear into the ocean. The highest saw his death, but he was able to possess one of Mobian's defenders. Eventually, he ends up possessing Sonic's body, catching him by surprise, though then he acknowledges Sally, saying it was made for her. Then threatens she's stuck here forever, though this is a lie as the next line says it's possible to leave and he wants to give her the chance of escaping because it's more interesting. He states that everything could be easier for her if she stayed away from the city, but in every timeline, she found herself in that city. He really wanted it to be fewer casualties, but the prophecy said otherwise. Alice won't be here to help us. We're on our own. Eventually, everyone makes it together. EXELLER is waiting for us. He states that they can't end them here, but if they lose, their physical bodies will rot over time as they're stuck here forever. So it's time for the final boss. One last fight before the end. Everything has led up to this moment. You have to switch between each of the characters, all 6 of them, in order to counter certain things he throws at you. If this sounds like a lot, it is. I mean, time does slow down when you're switching characters, so that makes it a little easier. And you do get 5 hits before losing. Each character brings something to the table. Tails provides a shield that can protect you and all of the other characters. Cream is a healer, granting 1 life. Eggman's bombs protect you from clones, and Knuckles can't hit EXELLER, but he can hit big objects that come at you. Amy can hit EXELLER from up close, but can't hit through shield. Sally can hit EXELLER from afar and through a shield. So, if he has a shield up, use Sally. If his shield is down, use Amy because you'll do more damage. There's an ultimate attack that will activate that kills you in 1 hit, if you don't use Tails' shield. For some reason, there's a Majora's Mask reference when you lose the first time, and EXELLER will count how many times you've died. And if you're me, this boss fight is a lot. Also, there's a distorted version of Minecraft menu song when you lose, and I thought that was really funny. Though if you die, he'll call you a noob. Ugh, this game is just one giant rage bait, dude. He also asks if you're doing it on purpose. Alright, EXELLER, I'll give you this. You're making me suffer. But haven't I enough? New dialogue happens a lot after you die. This boss fight is difficult, but I wouldn't put it over the Tails doll fight. Though it is incredibly close. I think they're about the same. Though my sanity depleted, I was able to beat it. So what happens? Sally is able to talk to EXELLER, and he decides to go back to his original look. Sally will only get to ask 3 questions and that's it, prompting a list. I think this is mostly flavor text, so I think I'm actually going to skip over this part. It really just asks some questions we already know the answer to, and I'm sorry if that disappoints you all, but quite frankly, I'm excited to release this video, and I don't want to bore you guys. After Sally asks these questions, we see everyone passed out by the Master Emerald. Sally wakes up and sees EXELLER in the darkness, standing right beside Sonic's body. Then, the game ends. Before giving my final thoughts, we have one last memory fragment. Alice and EXELLER are next to each other, stargazing. EXELLER seems to be upset, and Alice suspects that it's because of Wayne. It's part of the reason, but he mentions talking about his dream. He explains he wants to be free, to be able to do whatever he wants when he wants. He has 24 years until he could be a protector of Earth. Ironic considering what happens. He asked Alice what her dream is, but as he asks this, she suddenly vanishes and he falls to the ground. Darkness fills behind him as his eyes turn red. Laughter is heard as it fades to black. And that is the definitive end of Sally.EXE Whisper of Soul. It ends on a cliffhanger and Spirits of Hell 3 is canceled, so hope you guys don't mind. For most of this video, it might seem like I was bashing on this game, and I was. A lot of people won't really play this game and will mostly experience it through Let's Plays. When it released, it was a massive win for Sonic.EXE fans, or just Sonic fans in general. It's difficult, yet addictive. Unfair because it's supposed to be. Sonic.EXE will pull the game in his favor, and that's what happened here. But when you're watching it, when you experience the story, it looks different. The game got extremely popular, and for good reason. There's a lot of love put into this game, and a lot of work. It's a relic of hope in the EXE community because it shows people can be passionate and make something with insane potential and actually finish it. Sonic.EXE will continue to evolve and hopefully give us more narratives like this one. It tried to build its own world and story, give you choices you normally wouldn't have, and see characters interact you've never seen before. This game is bullshit hard. It drove me insane, but I can't say that I hate it. I spent hours studying this game, playing this game and watching each ending frame by frame so I could document it in a thorough way. 37 pages of script later, I hope you enjoyed it. As of now, I'm almost at 100k subs. I never thought that I would get this far, and the number really does baffle me. I always wanted to be a YouTuber, and given the nature of this game, there's a chance that YouTube may have something to say about this. Still, I want to thank you, the viewer, for watching. Also wanted to give a quick shout out to Simi and Dakota. They made the thumbnail again. They made my Spirits of Hell thumbnail. They came back, they did it again. Well done. It honestly looks amazing. Before I go, I want to give a quick shout out to Sunfire and Toadbup. I used a lot of footage from Sunfire's playthroughs for the sake of consistency and skill, so go support them. I'll have their Patreon link down below. And Toadbup recently got demonetized, so I wanted to send some support his way. His Patreon will be down in the description if you guys can. I think it's like $4, and he has a lot of specific content that you guys can sift through. If you like my videos, you're definitely going to like his videos. He was also one of the first people to look at Spirits of Hell and make a video essay about it. So it only made sense that I bring him up and thank him here. Both of them were kicked out of the YouTube Partner Program, and it's honestly really sad, so go support them if you can. The new YouTube Kids stuff and AI just really stinks, and it's unfortunate they have to go through that, so I want to help them out. Aside from that, be sure to subscribe for my suffering. And remember, stay spooky.
Alright, my dedicated bros and breads, it's finally time to review Sally.EXE Whisper of Soul. Where is everyone?